12 teams representing some of the biggest cities around the world. 72 of the world's most talented poker players with over $350 million in combined lifetime earnings will put everything on the line over 8 months to compete for the title of the first ever GPL World Champions. Which team has what it takes? The Global Poker League starts now.
Hello and welcome back. This Tuesday evening, we are live. You are watching the Global Poker League. I'm Laura Cornelius, joined by Eric Danny, the GPL insider. We have so far watched 6 max games from the Eurasian Conference. We will now be watching 6 max games from the Americas Conference.
We had a great time earlier. Over 100 hands in that first match, Laura. About 50 hands heads up, and boy, they just flew by, so it was great to see.
We did. In a nutshell, just tell us who got the points, who won the game.
Well, I mean, Anatoly Filatov gains a first and a second for the Moscow team, just like Vladimir Troyanovsky did a few weeks ago. So big points there. That's 12 points for that team. So great for them, sitting at 47 points. The Paris Aviators, Vive Paris, still first overall, 48 points. Fabrice Soulier making his wildcard pick work and do some great work. Luno, after winning his heads up last week, or was it 2 weeks ago now? 2 weeks ago, gets in first place finish here in the first match. Little bump in the road in the second match, but that's fine. I think Fabrice will be very happy with the way things have gone.
Great to watch as well, wasn't he? And you could see the other players a little intimidated by him also.
Yeah, and little tidbit is that a teammate of his, Davide Kitai, and all the members of Winamax, which is the Luno is a team pro for Winamax, so Gael Bowman, a lot of big name players, Sylvain Loosely, are all in a retreat together. So there's a lot of pressure for Luno to score well, because he knows that in the next room, some of the top players in the world were waiting for him and ragging him, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, so now it's all about the Americas Conference 6 max, and we've got some great players lined up for you. Olivier Busquet, of course, everybody is talking about him having had this big fight. It was MMA, right?
Correct. Yeah. Coming off, he's been so good in the GPL. Of course, that propelled him to beat someone's face in for money.
Great job. Yes, you're right.
For sport and competition, by the way, not in the street. This was legitimate, competition. So good on Olivier. I think, not many scars on the face either, so he's going to look good on camera.
No, that's because JC had them all.
I am not touching that one. It's at Laura M. Cornelius.
Well, we'll hopefully get Olivier on webcam, so he may even tell us a little bit about his experience. We're going to hand over to the desk now to Griffin and to Sam and take a look at this very next match.
Thanks, you guys. I'm Griffin Benger. This is Sam Grafton. This is the Global Poker League. It is week 4. This is the second 6 max match of the evening. It's the Americas division, and it is stacked. It's stacked.
What are you saying?
It's stacked.
Just for those of you, we got to apologize. Someone got banned for using the hashtag Griffin out. We support that hashtag.
It's hashtag FireBenger, first of all.
Hashtag FireBenger. That hashtag is perfectly legal within the chat. I just want to clarify that. If you want to get that trending on Twitter, we support that. It is an incredible lineup for the 6 max contest. We got the return of Busquet after his adventures in the world of MMA. We got the debut of Jason Lavallee. And hopefully today, we're going to see the best out of Darren Elias. I think one of the most exciting players in the GPL.
I agree.
And he's going to be more at home in the 6 max format, and we're going to see a lot from him today. Yeah, really, really exciting.
Yeah, and something that's really exciting to me, too, is the debut of the comedian, Jason Lavallee.
Yeah, exactly. Tom Marchese, we're going to begin by him.
Yes, big cheese.
How many
big
times?
Cheddar.
That's all we have.
Cheddar Bob himself. Okay, seriously, though, Thomas Marchese, let's look at the ratio, the wins to results ratio. By far and away the best in the entire Global Poker
but that's
League.
because
14 wins, 66 results. It's because he plays 20-player field, 25 games.
Yes.
There's a little more than 20 players usually, aren't there?
Yeah.
This guy wins tournaments, bro.
Yeah, of course, he's a results machine. But what was really nice was that last time we saw him play, obviously a guy who studied the game, got real strong fundamentals, but also showed that little bit of flair with a strange 4-minute tank before moving all in against Anthony Zeno. A little bit of humor from Tom Marchese. Looking to see more of that today from him on the webcam. But as you said, incredible earnings. Despite the strength of this lineup, almost double the amount of cashes of anyone else. And we're talking about, again, some of the world's top tournament players. So he's a real exciting figure in this six-max match.
Yeah, and someone obviously that is, been in the poker news a lot lately, Olivier Busquet, never one that will shy away from talking about, life, love, success, poker, fighting. This is a guy that just, got really, really a lot of work towards, the whole MMA thing. Unbelievable work ethic. What do you think of Olivier?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he has been one of the most impressive players in the GPL so far. The heads-up grounding that he has means that he's been so strong in that format, consistently putting points on the board for the LA Sunset. And now Maria Ho, LA Sunset haven't started the strongest, and she's putting him into the six-max format as well, and I don't blame her. I'm sure that, with his experience in high rollers as well, I don't know how many sit and goes he plays, he's going to be a strong contender in, as we said, a very tough lineup.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the, the strongest players on the LA Sunset team. This is an extremely tough heat. Jason Lavallee, as we will speak about, extremely tough opponent, and just this whole field right now, I think it's one of the strongest six-max matches we've seen. Darren Elias, you're getting able to see him in a six-max format, which is probably better than suited than sort of the heads up against Olivier Busquet, so he's going to be someone who's really excited to watch. But let's talk about Anton Wigg, the Swede.
Yeah, San Francisco Rush, bottom of the table, we should remind people. Anton Wigg stepping in for Faraz Jaka today. Put a few points on the board last time he played, finishing last, unfortunately, but then did recover somewhat with 3 points and then defeated Martin Jakobsen, heads up. So there is a lot of strength to this player. Put some points on the board in the GPL, so we'll be confident coming in. An EPT winner and a strong opponent for sure.
Anton Wigg, obviously, huge pedigree. You can see the 11 wins through 60 results. Someone that really, plays all the EPT side events, does well in the main events. A mainstay on the European Poker Tour for sure. Who do we got next? We got Jonathan Little, your favorite. You can talk about John.
JL.
JL.
One of the things, if you missed Jonathan Little's heads-up match last week, this is someone that is obviously going to share an incredible amount of strategy with us. Huge WPT scores back in the day at the height of the poker boom when they were handing out real dosh for tournament wins back then, and now has a subsidiary income from coaching and also writing poker books. So someone that has real insight into how to break down complex poker ideas, complex theoretical ideas in layman terms, and that's something he was doing incredibly well on the webcam. So if you're new to poker, if you're looking to learn poker, if you're looking to GPL as a springboard to improving your own game, he's someone that you're really going to want to stay tuned to watch.
Yeah, no, Jason Lavallee coming up right here. Playing for the Montreal Nationals, usually resides there, moved to Toronto. This guy, such an incredible talent. He's really cut his teeth on the European Poker Tour, but more of sort of a Pod Limit Omaha cash game kind of background, but someone who's done really, really well, won a high roller, second in an EPT main event. So this is a guy who has a pretty good pedigree.
Yeah, of course. Over the last couple of years, Jason has been concentrating a little bit more on Omaha.
And comedy, of course.
And the comedy. And that background in Omaha, he's going to have very strong hand-reading abilities. Omaha players, very good at attacking boards where opponents' ranges are capped and they can't have the nuts, understanding equities and that. He's going to be a very strong player. And, also, if you don't follow Jason on Twitter, I do recommend it because he's a very sharp, acerbic, witty individual who, likes to puncture the pretensions of the poker community. Someone that will be a treat if we have him on webcam.
Now, Darren Elias, the representative of the Sao Paulo Metropolitans, one of two Americans playing for that franchise in the Global Poker League. One of my personal favorite players, a two-time WPT winner, winning back-to-back WPTs just a year or two ago. GPI rank of 47, earnings of almost $4 million. This guy, the online pedigree, when this guy was on and either of our tables, you just stayed away from him.
Yeah, of course. When you say to someone, about someone, what a boss, basically you're just saying you're a bit like Darren Elias, He is one of those figures within the poker community that people are sort of in awe of, has such a presence at the table, a little bit more of a withdrawn character, just gets the job done, wins the money, ships the dollars online and the trophies in the live arena. Darren Elias went number 1 to Sao Paulo Metropolitan, so I think we're going to see what he's all about today. Who are these two guys? Which one? Apparently one's Jason Lavallee. Have you got any idea which one it is?
All right, let's play some poker.
I have an idea.
Jason Lavallee on the right, and on the left, I'm not sure who's this guy. Is that someone? Is there a problem with the webcam?
Interesting aesthetic choice with the hat here.
Not exactly the softest sit and go I've ever played.
Oh, that is Jason Lavallee. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, the high roller thing in the background, and he got aces dealt, so he has that high roller trophy in the background.
I mean, one thing to say, if Jason puts in a good performance today, is how strong will the Montreal Nationals be looking? Lurking, second position in the table, just 2 points off. We've seen, and they haven't even brought into play their manager, Marc-Andre Ladouceur.
I heard he retired to become a model. Actually, Norman Chad was tweeted it the other day.
And if Jason Lavallee, does some damage today, this is going to be the franchise to stop in
3
the
terrible
Americas
hands
division.
to start the tournament for me. When that happens, don't get flustered.
Oh, Jono.
Looking around the table, I think I'm clearly the fish. That's unfortunate. But it happens sometimes. We have Olivier Busquet, who crushed Avocado the other day. Darren Elias, who's been crushing everyone for years. Anton Wigg, who I don't have a lot of experience with, but I hear he's a crusher. Jason, I don't really know much about him, besides he's just a great poker player. And then Tom Marchese, who likes to bluff me, and it has not worked out too well for him. Ace-6, ace-jack 6.
Thinly veiled brag there, like that.
Throwing a little sprinkle, mainly just to pick up the pot. Don't let him bluff me on the turn. Protect versus various cards that I cannot see coming, etc., etc.
This is what we came for, guys. The Jonathan Little sprinkle.
We could get out of line and 3-bet stuff like King 5 offsuit, but probably no need.
Yeah, didn't expect Darren to fold his big blind there.
Jason can bet for value and protection on this board. Very unlikely you're going to face a check raise with such a range advantage.
Interesting turn card. Should go check a fair bit, and I would imagine a lot of river cards that can chop the pot. Like that one.
Yeah, chop pot's pretty much the best case scenario here, unless he checks some Jack X and doesn't turn them into bluffs. Check and hope to win.
And they do chop it up.
Queen 6 offsuit, I'm probably just going to fold this on the button. Could raise it if you feel like it, but Queen 6 is horrible.
Worked out for Selena Lynn in the last match.
This is the Americas division,
Everybody's
the first
nice and fast.
Americas match of the day. If you're just joining us, earlier on we saw Anatoly Filatov get a win and a second place for the Moscow Wolverines. Alexander Leno also picking up 8 points for the Aviators. Things started off really fast there, possibly partly due to
I feel incredibly distracted right
cards, but
mainly because I'm trying to worry with the stream over here, playing poker over here, just generally being scatterbrained. You don't want to be scatterbrained when you're playing the Global Poker League.
Absolutely right, John.
Pocket Kings are great. We'll just go ahead and put in the 3-bet. It's kind of unfortunate I've been very tight so far. If he has aces, he's going to get paid. I will take 0 points if it comes to that. 8-6-4, pretty rough board. This is obviously better for his range than it is for my range, given that he should have a lot of the middle cards. Tom likes to bluff. We'll just bet. It's a pretty rough spot if he decides to check raise me. I don't really see how I can fold versus Tom, though, because this is a spot where it's obvious that he should be check raising me a decent amount of the time. And when that's the case, you can't be too incredibly weak.
Interesting analysis there from Jonathan. Inclined to disagree a bit, but certainly, you know, it's just trying to find his bearings. 4-6-8 rainbow, not necessarily a board that should be check raised that often in a 3-bet pot.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you flop a set of 6s, you need to, you're going to call to protect the times you have 10s, jacks, and 9s, which you need to, you want to be able to check call comfortably with. And such like, so, and you want to keep in the weaker parts of your opponent's range and let them bluff or catch an ace or king on the turn.
But I think it's important that you know John prefacing.
With the backdoor.
It's another spot where Jason could get out of line if he feels like it. Anytime the board's a lot of middle cards, it's never that bad to get a decent amount out of line whenever you could have those cards and your opponent probably don't have those cards.
It's interesting. Jonathan definitely going to give us some real strategic insights.
Yeah, but I think a little thrown off by this lineup, to be honest with you. Maybe trying to think a little too abstractly.
Yeah. One of the interesting things to say is Jonathan obviously saying he has a lot of experience playing with Marchese.
Right.
That's something we can really look forward to.
Wow.
Tom and Jonathan obviously having a bit of history. I would imagine
that's a really great point.
Darren, Elias and Anton Wigg. Darren doesn't play quite as much online, but they're probably very familiar with each other's strategies. You know, a lot of North Americans in this lineup, and you know, similarly, Busquet probably played a decent amount on the WP2 tour a couple of years ago as well. So be interesting to see how dynamics affect certain hands, the way certain hands play out. Darren Elias with a rare big blind fold, recognizing the strength of these.
I'm currently listening to the electronic music that Global Poker League plays. So I was going to go to the club tonight, but now that's not necessary because we got the club music going already.
I'd love to go to the club.
This is a very tough table. I don't think people recognize how tough this table is. There are some of the best players in the world here, not counting myself, obviously. And you don't get to play with competition like this very often. When you do, it's an absolute treat.
Jonathan, very humble there.
I should probably pay attention.
Such a sweet guy, and you know, showing a lot of humility about his own achievements, which are, of course, incredibly impressive. 2-time WPT champion and WPT Player of the Year with 6
probably raise
million
this one if
in
they fold to me.
tournament earnings. Tournament evenings would be fun.
Tournament evenings with Sam Grafton and Jonathan Little.
We could get after it again. I don't think it's necessary. Maybe I just should, though. Creates an aggressive dynamic. Aggressive dynamics are always good, especially if you know you're going to get lucky later. Griffin, I would like to get all the cards later, please. So let me know if I should be running bluffs right now or not.
Very tongue-in-cheek cheek from Johnny Little.
And it is going to be interesting the way this lineup does affect people. I think people are playing significantly more solid.
Ace-10 offsuit I'll open. If Tom raises, I'll just fold. We could conceivably 3-bet if we wanted to.
Yeah, really interesting to see how you know, the history between Tom and Jonathan. Certainly, the way that the way that it can even just affect someone's mind state when they're a little bit scatterbrained, maybe a bit overwhelmed by the kind of competition.
Less intimidating when his picture doesn't have sunglasses.
The comedian already
that should be much better for him than for me. Kind of unfortunate we have 2 of these spots right off the bat. I'm going to check this one, mainly because if I bet, I kind of get the feeling Jason may get out of line.
I remember the brand of them, though. They sell them at the World Series all the time. It's like
we could bet, though, if we feel like it. I'll definitely bet this turn.
Blue Shark
I don't think you need to go big on the turn.
Blue Shark Optics,
like
isn't it?
800.
Jonathan's.
If he has nothing, he's going to fold. If he has marginal value, he's probably going to call. I'm planning on betting again on a lot of rivers. I don't think we need to bet too large on the turn or the river, because we are trying to somewhat clearly represent the king. Or at least, you know, top part of our range. I like how everyone at this table plays incredibly fast. Take a look at this. I am one of the slowest at the table so far. and I feel like I've played about as fast as possible, so that's kind of cool. So I raise Olivier calls. I've talked a bit of poker with Olivier, not a lot, but enough. So I'm thinking he probably has something reasonably good here, probably not a nut hand. Probably lots of suited connectors, lots of big cards. So that connects very well with this. Tom could obviously have anything, so I'm going to check in this spot and probably just give up.
Yeah, Jonathan Little.
We could consider betting this just because we have the backdoor flush draw, but I think if I bet here, I'm going to get raised some portion of the time. When I get called, I'm not thrilled. It probably looks a little bit weak just to fold here, but multi-way, I'm a pretty big fan of getting out of the way when you have nothing.
Yeah, Jonathan Little with a really strong understanding of where Olivier
If you're not
Busquet's
watching all these Global Poker League
with
games,
his range.
I strongly suggest you do so. I actually made a spreadsheet today where I listed all the games and everyone who's playing, and I'm going to go back and watch all of them, just make sure I don't miss anything, because this is about the best learning experience you could ask for. They give me kings again. That's good.
And Lavallee has a hand he might elect to play.
Something that's kind of interesting.
for a
Given
three
everyone's
bet on the
playing
button.
pretty fast, you can almost see who's played the most pots based on how much time bank people have used. So that's kind of cool. All right, here we go.
Jason,
I don't think we need to go too big.
3 bets the ace-10. Jonathan
Pretty
Little.
much any sizing is going to put our opponent in a horrible spot. I wish I, again, had been... I mean, I guess I have been somewhat aggressive, given... I mean, my opponents haven't seen my cards yet. The stream hasn't gone live, so they don't know that I've just had good cards
Really
for the most part.
This
So I probably look more aggressive
size
than I
is pretty
actually
small,
am.
though, if a suited GPL.
It's always a good thing. If he
And this
5
too
bets
often.
or anything like that, we're just going with it. Like I said, you're not folding kings. And notice here, we didn't really need to make a big 4-bet. Any 4-bet size will typically get it done. Unfortunately, he folded,
Sliding is
though.
an option pre-flop, but with competent
I'll probably limp
players
this
in
from the small
blinds,
blind
not
if
so
Tom
much.
folds. This is another spot where you could consider 3-betting, but I probably have an aggressive image as it is.
Interesting what Jason said about electing to 3-bet because there's good players in the blinds. And, you know, really interesting the way strategies change. I think in a live tournament with more recreational players, less good pros, you can just flat the ace-10 on the button. But there, against Anton, he wants to take the initiative. He wants to knock someone like Marchese out of the hand. He wants to keep himself uncapped. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how players make, the adjustments players make against this top-class opposition. In this case, obviously,
Agreed.
didn't work out well with Jonathan finding kings, but he did have Anton's Jack-10 dominated, so can't really blame part-time comedian, part-time poker player Jason
So when Tom
Lavallee.
checks it down here, I imagine he has some amount of showdown value. And once it goes check, 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 he's probably not folding a lot of that showdown value, especially on a Queen River. I mean, Queen River really nails his showdown value range, and if it doesn't nail his range, he probably has an underpair. Kind of surprised to see him just check down King High. I would not expect King High to be the best hand too often, but they chopped it up, so it's not so bad. Notice there, though, that if I just 3-bet the King 5 offsuit from the small blind, I probably would have stolen the pot with no problem. And seeing Tom opening hands like King 5, I mean, I expect him to open King 5, but seeing him opening King 5 with, you know, he's obviously doing it because I see it, that makes me more inclined to want to 3-bet stuff from the blinds.
Olivier Busquet, as you can see, flopping strongly. Just 9 high, but does have a flush draw and a gut shot. And Busquet does elect
It's one of
to
these
put
spots where,
pressure
again,
on
it's
Tom.
sort of all middle cards, like I was talking about earlier, and Olivier takes advantage of that being the caller. Check raising sweet whenever the board should be great for you. I mean, I am so tempted just to try to run over the table. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to, at least initially. I'm going to sit on my hands and be a good boy.
Marchese not slowing down with his slightly looser strategy. Opening a nice
A lot of value in
suited
just
queen.
getting a few points, especially given that 2/3 of the field makes the playoff. So you really don't want to be the guy who gets 0 points on a consistent basis. If you can just be in the middle of the pack, take it kind of easy, lock up 1 or 2 heads-up wins on a regular basis, although obviously you try to win all those. It's not a bad result. Also, Chris Moneymaker told me that for every 6-handed game you play, you lose 1 point. You lose 1 finger for each point you get less than 5. So if you get 5 points, you keep 5 fingers. If you get 3 points, you keep 2 fingers. Sorry, you keep 3 fingers. 2 points, you keep 2 fingers, etc. I want to keep all of my fingers, so I have to do well.
Marchese,
I'm nervous. That's probably why I'm so nervous, is that I realize I may have no fingers at the end of the day.
fires a second barrel. Anton Wigg with top pair, top kicker, calls, and Marchese rivering some slight amount of showdown value, outdrawing Anton's 8x. He checks behind, but not a great start for the man they call the
These
big
are the kind
cheese.
of hands that you can lose some chips with if you're not too careful. If Olivier 3-bets, we're not really happy. I mean, we're not folding, obviously, but we're certainly not happy. I could actually see making even bigger pre-flop raises versus this field. I'm a pretty big fan of making small bets and raises versus the weaker players and bigger bets versus the better players. We're just going to check here.
Probably would have ended up check folding the flop unless he bet something unreasonably small.
My hand looks a lot like a 10 or worse at this point. Problem is this, my opponent could very easily have some of this. I think I'm just going to fold
check and lose.
If it goes check,
too strong to bluff with,
a decent amount of the time on
never
checks
winning.
Jason Lavallee.
Ace-10 under the gun. I'm going to fold. We've been a little bit active.
Jason Lavallee.
I think folding's fine.
Realizing 9-5 not going to win too often at showdown there, but wanting to keep his bluff frequency under control, so not turning that part of his range into a bluff. Busquet picks up this pot. If you're just joining us, this is the first match of the Americas division. Going to be 2 for you this evening or this morning, depending where in the world you are. And an all-star lineup. Darren Elias, who did go first round draft pick to Sao Paulo Metropolitans. The only first round draft pick playing today, but obviously an incredible caliber of professional poker player on offer today. Way more cagey match than the earlier European 6-max contest. And Darren Elias flopping what would be the best hand against the vast majority of Olivier Busquet's holdings. We can see here Olivier has him pipped with the King 8. And Darren Elias betting here for value and getting raised. Interesting, Olivier immediately on the attack with this part of his range, immediately raising for value. And Darren Elias is not going to be able to fold this hand at this point. Busquet betting for value on the turn when a lot of pros even would be tempted to check. And against Darren's hand, he actually has his opponent in real bad shape here. Darren does call. And it would be amazing if Busquet can go for value again. No, he doesn't. Checks down, understandably so, and wins a significant pot against Darren Elias.
Great start for the MMA champion.
And LA Sunset need it. I mean, a lot of people's favorites going into the season haven't, not in terrible shape, but hovering around fourth, joint in points with Sao Paulo Mets. Busquet really the only person that's strongly delivered for them up to this point.
Very big 3-bet from Olivier. Well, I say very big, actually. Sort of expected, given he's out of position. I could go ahead and put in the 4-bet if I felt like it, but he's been a good boy so far, so we'll stay out of the way.
And fasten your seatbelts, guys. Jonathan Little with pocket tens. And he has been very active, as I'm sure he will inform you. And Anton Wigg with 2 aces. Remember, Jonathan was 3-bet in this spot, exact spot, just last hand. And this is pretty much dream time for Anton Wigg. I'll let Jonathan take over with his
The question
thoughts.
is, can I happily get it all in? I don't think I can. So we're going to call and see a flop.
Well said.
It's good enough flop.
Jonathan with a quick call.
You're generally rooting for the very small cards. I mean, a 9 appears to be a good card, but he could have pocket 9s. If you see something like a 2 or a 3, those are very, very clean cards. We'll probably call one more bet here and then fold on the river. Definitely hating the spot, though. Another pretty bad card.
Actually, a little bit of a tough spot for
At this
Anton.
point, he would probably turn ace-king into a bluff. He'd probably not bet again with... I don't know, this is a dicey spot at this point.
And well-played hand by both. Anton Wigg's definitely not wanting to get snap called on the river.
That's not what you want to
Not
happen.
at all. Because there are a lot of pocket jacks, pocket 9s in Jonathan's range there.
Yeah, even pocket queens he might
Yeah.
elect to call. Some portion of the time, queen jack suited he may elect to call 2 combos of that as well. So, Anton,
Not an enviable position to be
Yeah.
in for Anton there, despite the fact that we know he was safe.
Yeah, and you know, these kind of confrontations are significant. You see, Anton Wigg 40,000 chips now. Those 2 streets of value, giving him the chip lead. And, you know, being on the right end of those hand-over-hand confrontations is going to be crucial when the skill differential between these kind of top-level players, you know, is only fractional. You know, certain of these players, you know, we might think are slightly better in this particular format, but all of them really, really good pros. Even Jason Lavallee, despite what people say.
As soon as Jason moved to Toronto, I made sure to leave the city. Headed straight to Malta. And here I am. So he's responsible for
Moved in with his girlfriend, and
Yeah.
that's pretty remarkable as well. Jason
Yeah.
Lavallee, get a long-term girlfriend.
I'm proud of him.
Pretty, I mean, poor
For
girl.
someone to put up with him all the time.
I mean, amazing.
Remarkable.
Imagine just getting trolled all the time. You're just making a cup of tea, and he's there
Yeah.
making sarky remarks.
Yeah.
You're just putting up, you know, doing some wallpapering, and he's there, just sat in a chair,
Options
taking
seem
the
pretty
mick
good
out
here.
while you're wearing.
Anton's a bit looser than most under the gun in a 6-max format like this. So.
Well read by the...
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
Jason
gonna opt to flat.
with a strong sense of how Anton constructs his range. And he has flatted with a dominating hand. And he's absolutely Felipe Ramos'd the crap out of this flop, flopping
joke.
trips.
It's all a joke.
Anton Wigg flopping very, very strongly.
Definitely gonna be calling one here. I mean, I block most of his under the gun King X range with King Queen and Ace King, and have the backdoor hearts and 2 overs. Worst case, it's, you know, I have the best hand some of the time, and other times I can turn my hands into a bluff. My hand rather.
And Anton Wigg turning even stronger. And Anton's just praying that Jason has King, Queen, or Aces here.
And so many King X combinations. I mean, King Jack of, you know, any suit, King Queen off, Maybe even king 10 suited if Lavallee was in
Yeah,
sort of
but
pre-flop
unfortunately that's
mode.
going to mean Anton is going to bet here
Blast, yeah.
for value. Obviously, if he knew what Jason's hand was, he'd be giving him a chance to catch up. Fast playing the quads.
I'd usually be likely to be pretty sticky here, but having the ace of hearts, I block some of his semi-bluffs, so if I'd want to continue with ace-queen, I'd definitely prefer having the offsuit one, or the offsuit one without the ace of hearts.
The
So
comedian
go.
showing he might be a decent poker player.
And that's interesting what Jason said there, just to pass that a little bit for you guys. The ace of hearts acts as a card that he continues on the flop with,
Start for my
but
GPL
then
debut.
it does the reverse on the turn where he slows down because that's going to be the combinations Anton's bluffing.
Dicey spots. I think we can 3-bet this and fold. We could also call, but the players yet to act are all pretty great, so I think there's a lot of value in getting the pot heads up.
This is such a scary heat, the more I look at it. It's pretty crazy. It'd be great if Lavallee just popped up right now with the cops
He does
in the
jam.
background. The
So we'll fold.
sounds, and he just, I'm not going back to jail, just runs out the door.
I mean, put it this way, yeah, I was about to say, Darren Elias taking a second there. In a normal tournament, he's never folding king 3 of hearts, and I was going to say it's massive respect to Busquet if he does fold there, because Darren opens a lot in tournament format. And things not going so well for one of our heroes here, Jonathan Little, but obviously, you know, both times Queen Jack and tens had the, you know, running into kings and aces.
Well, you have to ask
one of the
yourself, you know,
situations.
he might be the hero we deserve, but just not the one we need right now, you know? It's a Dark Knight reference.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen The Dark Knight?
No.
Heath Ledger?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I semi got the reference, but I wasn't sure. Tom Marchese with ace queen and slightly awkward stack size of 30 big blinds. Imagine this is going to be a 3-bet. One thing we haven't talked about too much is he is representing the New York Rounders, who, of course, are top of the tables in the Americas Conference, partly down to the 6 points he claimed off Anthony Zeno in a rather epic heads-up battle. Everyone except...
Interesting sizing here. How do you feel about this? It's lots. Oh, I guess so. Sorry. He only has 14, 15 game.
Yeah,
so it's actually pretty
he's
good.
sized down because he's shallow.
Yeah.
Still not an enviable situation because Busquet will call with a lot of his range.
Yeah.
I mean,
not that.
I imagine Queen 10 off is the stone bottom of Busquet's open.
Yeah.
And might even have been something to do with it being Jonathan Little short in the big blind that he made the open.
Yeah.
Where Jonathan Little's going to, perhaps he feels Jonathan Little's not going to defend quite correctly. And Jason Lavallee with the spot now. So much pressure on these guys.
I think it's not really an option with this stack. I don't know if he opens light enough for me to want to 3-bet fold. I guess I'll go for it.
Busquet does go to a flop.
On that flop, we're definitely not going anywhere.
Except to the felt.
Interesting decision, but in regards to the bet size, what I want to do with my range there, but
Busquet does fold.
Could be a tough spot for Jonathan Little here, electing whether to shove or fold against Marchese's open. I would imagine lean towards fold, but it's going to be tough.
It's probably close. I am going to fold, though. This could be a small error.
I think the point system keeps you a little bit more in line.
Yeah, I agree.
You probably do make chips on that shove, but when you get called, it's real bad news for your franchise.
Really loose defend here from Olivier, definitely coming from the camp of playing heads up and really getting lucky here on the turn. But when Tom does delay continuation bet here, do we expect to see a call or?
Well, Tom's going to check down this part of his range, I guess. And I think it's too thin for Olivier to bet. Yeah. And Busquet does show down. Marchese getting dealt a lot of like sort of intermediate strength hands, which he has to open, but which don't like a lot of pressure. And going to be interested to see how Olivier plays the ace-10 off. Tom does look very loose, is what I'm saying. He's had a lot of hands he has to open, and Olivier 3-betting back on Tom Marchese. And lays it down almost instantly.
Yeah, again, it's a point system inline thing. Of course, we know that Olivier happened to have a hand that he was 3-bet folding, probably. But, you know, Tom, obviously, with a hand like sevens, he's taking a really strong spot against him there from the small blind. He doesn't need to just, like, blindly blast it in, and Olivier snap off with queens. So I think just something where just Tom knows what he's going to do, and he doesn't need to waste anyone's time, likes to play fast.
Yeah, these guys really are. Olivier Busquet. I mean, is he getting out of line now? Is he getting out of line?
I mean, looks like
he's got 125 Averaldo bags in his skyrocket.
He's got a little more than that. With the, he's doing some outside action too, wasn't he?
And this is a bit fruity from the boy Busquet. This is like back in the day, mate. Back down gutty. This is what we used to do. Put it on bods with King Deuce suited.
I love a good king.
The suited king.
I love doing the suited king.
You know, first place I ever played poker, one of the first pieces of advice that someone gave me was, you know what hand's great? King deuce. Because if the board comes high cards, you got something. And if the board comes low cards, you've also got something. Sick. First strategy advice anyone ever gave me. I was like,
yeah, so that explains why you're in the booth now.
Yeah, even at the time I was like, I don't know whether that can be correct, but I'll take it on board, mate. We actually used to, the guy's name was Ken. We used to call that hand the Ken Deuce.
That's amazing. That's
big shout out to Ken if he's watching. Ken from Snooker Hall. And Busquet.
Now bagging groceries.
Busquet, well, he weren't the best at poker, I'm not going to lie. Busquet flopping a strong top pair and c-betting and taking it down. And Olivier Busquet, who we should remind people, if you're just new to the GPL, has been putting together an impressive string of results in the heads-up format, making his debut in the 6-max format, and getting off to a very good start. Him and Anton Wigg with strong
tough spot here with the Jack 7 of diamonds. We're going to call versus Darren. Darren's probably going to be pretty tight from early position. But it's a pretty good hand to call with.
Again, the King Jack getting the job done. And does leave Jonathan Little down to just 10 bigs.
Guys, this Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 7% Central, Jaka versus Nishijima. Two guys we have seen once before. Certainly a big, interesting match. But right now we have a big hand here in the 6-max.
Yeah, Anton Wigg kicking things off with a very loose open, 7 suited.
Fold range with 2 stacks that I'm committed to behind. So.
All in, and Tom Marchese, 2 queens, finding it cold. Great situation for the New York rounder. Jason Lavallee, the part-time comedian, part-time poker player on his GPL debut.
Good news. Let's hope for ace king or ace queen.
He needs a snowman. Well, he's going to be crippled. 8 required on the river for Jason Lavallee. Big double up for Tom Marchese. And Jason Lavallee down to just 4 big blinds, even shorter than Jonathan Little.
Yep, Jason, don't quit your day job, Lavallee. Needs to stick to comedy because so far he has let down the Montreal Nationals.
Letting down his
country,
region,
his team,
his country, everyone.
Yeah. I mean, his comedy trope. I mean, he was supposed to, do well in this and build his brand for them.
People question the signing of Jason Lavallee, and they're being proved right at the moment.
Yeah. Just unbelievable.
It's not going to be it.
This is a rough one because Jason has almost no chips, but pocket fours are good enough to shove.
Someone could have knocked him out there.
I wonder if that's a fold, actually.
I was actually thinking it might be a fold. I mean, we see all the other cards, so
it
looks like it's a slam dunk, but
I think maybe you have to try and outweight Jason, unless you got a really strong hand, like I don't know, but
probably like 7s and ace jack plus, or
I really don't. I'm not certain, but it feels like given that he's all in next hand with any 2 cards, like.
Oh!
Or is he?
Interesting.
No shame in folding. There's never any shame in folding.
I wonder if Anton also thinking that keeping Jason short's actually not a bad thing for the big stack. I don't know whether that factored in. Obviously, 10-3, pretty atrocious hand anyway. And Busquet opening wide. And there's a real interesting dynamic between big stacks when someone is really short. The point being that no one can really bust here with Jason so short on 3.5 bigs. And that's why you see Marchese fold the king high to a covering stack in the big blind. These are sort of nuances that these guys have to take into account.
Shame we have to fold.
This will make for an interesting spot for Little.
So again, Jonathan probably all in there in normal circumstance, but has to play even more cautiously because Jason's so short. And it's an opportunity for Darren Elias to apply some pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I don't know if he's necessarily always going to be shoving. I mean, I think Darren has the bottom of his range, so we can kind of look at it and be like, oh, he has a better hand, he should be shoving. But a lot of the time, don't you think it might even still be just be a defend?
Yeah, I mean that for sure. But he wouldn't. He's played pre-fit or fold on Jack 3-5 with a heart, for instance.
Okay, yeah,
like you just got to play straightforwardly.
Right. It's time.
And Thomas Marchese, are we calling him Thomas?
I'm just going with Cheddar Bob.
Cheddar Bob. Cheddar Bob.
Cheddar Tom is good.
Makes
Cheddar
the
Tom's
call.
good too.
And Jason Lavallee getting it in bad yet again. But does flop a huge amount of equity.
Come on.
Marchese only wins 3% of the time, you'll know.
3 for 3.
Yeah.
Bad news. You see Jonathan Little's
We
reaction.
do it to Tom, though.
Actually, Jonathan becomes a short stack. And in all fairness to Jonathan, if he hadn't shoved those 4s, he would really be on the critical list now. And actually, that pickup is vital.
This is going to spell disaster for the Lavalevian one. After cursing the god himself, Thomas Marchese, saying we had to do it to him. Now he's doing it to you.
Thomas just always wakes up with it.
Yeah, Jason Lavallee really not impressing here. The comedian.
Disastrous performance from the Montreal Nationals.
A hard one to win, boys.
Here from Jason.
Okay, let's get rid of him and get a real poker player on the stream.
Please,
Showers
back to
for
the
you.
future,
Off
Jason
you go, Lavallee. Go and do some studying. Go read some books.
Yeah.
Go check out some forum. Watch a Run It Once video.
Go dust up your trophy.
Off you go. Off you go. Off you go.
On your bike.
Thank you very much. And sorry to have had him. We apologize, guys, to have Jason there on the stream. Obviously didn't offer us much. Tom Marchese continuing to run good. Well, I say that, but he's open here, and we've got Darren Elias with 2 9s on the button. Again, we will remind you once more, Jonathan Little under 10 bigs, making this situation way more dicey for Darren Elias, but he is YOLO. He is inducing with the 9s anyway.
Yeah.
Darren Elias, he is a boss. He doesn't care. He's got millions in the bank, and he's 3-bet calling off the 9s like the boss that he is. ICM doesn't exist. and he flops a set, but Tom Marchese's up and down.
He gets some equity there.
Oh, Jonathan Little, what a result for him. If this bricks off, we lose Elias in 5th.
But we're the board pair. The board pairs!
Quads on the river. Action runouts. We provide.
Where's Joe Stapleton when you need him?
Absolutely providing.
Death by quads.
Mate, they couldn't afford him. We've been over that. Let's not be reminded about that. Okay? Could have been me and Joe Stapleton. Imagine how good that would be. So good. Anyway, what might have been, back to the action.
Been me and Hart again.
Darren Elias there, taking the high variance route, inducing, and we've got Busquet on camera.
Oh my God, what happened to his face?
Man, I just missed something. What just happened? Shit.
Well, here we go.
How's my face look? I look all right, guys?
I don't see myself
You
folding
look
this.
beautiful.
Darren.
Doesn't look like you just got in a fight, does it?
Jonathan Little in the hurt locker, makes the fold, hoping for a confrontation.
It's an unfortunate spot when you see under the gun and second position raise. Darren's clearly getting after it a bit from under the gun. So maybe Olivier is going to also get after it there, but our hand's not in good shape versus a raise in 3-bet range.
I just realized I
don't know if I'm supposed to be talking.
Probably good
I'm
enough to
not
go with the
yet.
short stack.
The answer is no, so I'm just going to chill.
Anton Wigg, so loose. He don't care. And Tom Marchese with a hand that he could shovel.
We're really just rooting for someone to go broke before me.
Yeah, I really don't like this one, but not just because of the hands we see, but because, you know, it's Darren Elias' big blind, no blockers, not a lot of post-flop play.
Delay seems pretty far
back.
back.
To call off little. I think it's a bit.
Fold this one. Ace 2 is usually in pretty awful shape whenever you do get it all in. You're either slightly behind, slightly ahead, or way behind most of the time.
So Darren with a good flop for pocket sixes. Anton with one of the better flops for 6-8. No spade, but a gut shot to the effective nuts. And he is going to continue. And I wonder if Darren has a leading range like we saw Jeff Gross lead pocket fours in a similar spot. No, he doesn't. Checks to Anton Wigg.
I just realized that we are going to get such a beautiful influx of Vamos
and
in 10 minutes.
On the river, Anton Wigg unbelievably outdrawing Darren Elias. I'm going to be interested to see whether Darren thinks he has the best hand enough of the time here to bet for value, trying to get looked up by ace high. Obviously, 6-5, he'd get that. He does bet. And now Anton Wigg with a strong bluff catcher doesn't actually beat that many of Darren Elias's value hands.
Especially with a 6 blocker. Makes pocket sixes less likely.
But we can presume Darren does float some king highs with backdoor flushes, jack highs, queen jacks, king jacks and such like. But not an enviable position for Anton Wigg. See, as we always point out, we have the advantage of seeing the cards. Lot tougher in real time. Darren defends very wide, does have so many 4x, so many 7x that he can value bet this river with. Does he need to bluff when he has ace high? Does he need to bluff when he has king high?
Yeah, I feel like Anton might fold here.
I think that, and he does make a tight fold. Darren, really unusual spot. Darren Elias actually betting for value, but forcing Anton Wigg off the best hand. So really strange hand the way that played out. Tom Marchese short, but going to have easy fold with the 6 deuce off.
Jack 8's obviously not a good hand, but it is good enough to go with this short stack on the button. You got to win some hands eventually. This is what we waited for.
Darren Elias isolating with king.
Could at least see the re-raise. That gives us a.
Be nice to see Jonathan get a little bit of luck here.
With Jack 8, if you don't have to.
Does deserve it. Not run too good.
Now I have to get lucky. No luck. Not a good showing.
Goes the way of Jason Lavallee. Out for 1 point for the Las Vegas Moneymakers.
Yeah, and you know, always affable, always a smile on his face. We love Jonathan Little here at the GPL.
And let's just talk about, well, I mean, we're not going to be able to talk about
Let's talk about the Darren Elias show first, too, because this is...
Tom Marchese jamming
They're
all
like,
in.
Tom calling you next. And then he straight goes all in.
A lot of equity for Darren Elias. 40% of the time he will win, even though he doesn't yet have a pair. But that's a brick as far as these two hands are concerned.
But this isn't Sam.
Ace.
See you later, Tom.
Griffin
Wow,
Benjamin does it
like
again.
That.
Call him the river. He calls bet sizes. He calls rivers.
Darren's
Barry
calling.
Greenstein. We're three-handed here at the GPL.
Yeah, and a very strong three-handed contest. Darren Elias, two-time WPT champion. Olivier Busquet, high roller champion, WPT champion. Anton Wigg, EPT champion. 3 top-class poker minds going to battle. Feel that hype, Griffin. That's why they pay me the big bucks, mate.
Clash of the Titans. Olivier Busquet, one man. One desire.
Oh, did you do our intro video that we always hear about? 12 teams, the final at Wembley.
Of course, you didn't know that was me?
That's you? Wow, sick.
12 teams coming together in the Global Poker League.
And
Alex Strife has traveled the world,
and also
and he found them.
We should point out a little bit of history between these guys. Darren and Olivier did face off in Darren's only match so far in the GPL, which Olivier won 2 matches to 1. So
it's a pretty annoying board.
Could have a rematch.
Yeah, you know, we've only seen Olivier Busquet in the heads-up format, and he's proven to be, you know, one of the, I guess, early favorites for a potential MVP, given how he's, you know, performed in his heads-up matches. So if he gets, able to string together, you know, double-digit points in the 6-max format, he's really going to stand out as one of the stars in the early goings of the Global Poker League for sure.
Interesting that Olivier checks his hand 3 times.
Check, Anton. Yeah, boy.
And does win at Showdown. So, Darren Elias, our strong chip leader. Busquet with double the amount of chips of Anton Wigg.
And we get a shot of the end boss here, doing his thing with his beautiful backdrop.
Darren not wanting to let anything go. Wonder if this is just how he balances his timing, just to get Anton sweating a little bit, or if he's actually considering something here. Wow, it looks like he is thinking about something.
He thinks that the 3-bet's nonsense.
And Darren does fold.
But always finds the best decision, of course. Might just be a matter of timing balance too,
That's
right?
a good hand. We're up to 8-16, yeah.
I mean, surely you just got some hands that you raise and you fold. I mean, I don't know. I guess he considers every spot, and that's the way he plays. So who am I to knock that? As you say, one of the true
interesting spot here
superstars.
for Anton Wigg.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Full, Darren. I guess, yeah. Wow. Good flop.
Great flop for Busquet here.
And that will
It's
do it.
me or Darren heads up now. It's pretty funny since we played each other.
Yeah, as Olivier points out,
Guess
just to
we're both gonna
reiterate,
have a
these
lot.
guys
Looks like we're heads up.
have
Of
played
history,
each other
not a
heads
lot
up
of history,
before.
but whatever. We played each other 3 times.
Hoy para todos os falsos brasileiros.
Sweet.
Darren dropping some Spanish.
Yeah, baby.
Awesome.
All right, 8 and 16, right?
Vamos.
Okay.
Vamos.
Português?
Portuguese, sorry. Portuguese.
Shh, Samuel.
Sorry. Very.
You are better than that.
I know.
Me, I am not.
apologize. It's even more impressive. Busquet electing to 3-bet with a 7-8 suited and doesn't get through. Oh.
Good flop.
See, Darren Elias.
Things are just kind of going well for me lately.
Win this
I
hand
have to
less
say.
than 1%.
It's been a pretty good, you know. Yeah. Oh, Darren.
And a pretty deeper heads up here. Over 5 minutes left at the 816-200 level. Sam, usually, you know, these matches ending around the 1-2, 12-24, 15-3 level. Interesting to see this match have gone so quick.
Yeah, lost a whole rush of people. But I think a real treat
check out that
for poker fans to see these two playing deep against each other for the further 2 points. Certainly two players that I am really interested to see in action.
Yeah, I really admire both of their games. And
also be nice. This is the Sao Paulo Metropolitans' #1 draft pick. You know, he has got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders to put points on the board for what is a franchise that's struggling somewhat.
For sure.
So, you know, a lot to play for Darren Elias. I'm sure he'd love to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, he's the kind of X factor of a player that can, you know, jump the Mets from, you know, 28 points all the way up to, you know, they'll be third place basically if they get the full 7 here. So really would be a great start for them. And you know the fans out there are screaming Vamo and when quadding up.
To see that hand. Good. That's a good result. All right, what is he at? He's just over 30, right?
Yeah, that's Olivier's way of saying he doesn't approve of the turn bet, by the way. I'm fluent in Busquet now. I can understand when he's a little annoyed at not annoyed, but like thinks someone's frequencies are a bit off key.
It's the burden of perfection. I mean, he's obviously mastered the heads up game so much that
Busquet check calling second pattern again.
This is pretty clearly a check now.
Busquet turning better.
Just hope we made the best hand. Really hard for me to make the best hand now, unless he had a straight draw that made a pair of 9s.
And the equities flip-flop back in Elias's
Unless he had
direction.
4, 5, 5, 6.
Busquet running through the hands that he can beat.
I feel like if he bets, like he could be turning some, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird spot. My sense from when I played him the first time was that he wasn't really check calling too many like weak gutters. I think a combination of just kind of trying to play a little bit more solid out of position and my like larger than maybe he's used to facing bet sizing. I think this is a fold here. I just don't think he has enough bluffs.
Great fold from Busquet. That's the kind of heads-up quality we were talking about. This is Olivier Busquet's specialism, how he cut his teeth, how he developed his game, came through crushing high-stakes online sit-and-goes, up to 5K buy-ins, I believe. Imagine that, 5K heads-up sit-and-go.
Yeah, I've never played that big in a sit-and-go.
No, really?
No.
I played a $50 one once, so... You know what I mean? Not that far off. A couple of levels below.
I'm trying to think of the highest I ever played heads up in like sit and go.
I wonder if he would have value bet at 9. I don't think he would have.
Did you do a deal when you won the high roller? Oh, well, of course you got the shark cage as well. But did you do a deal when?
No.
So that was a big heads up technically.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mate, you outplayed Mike Tyndall, didn't you? So you know.
Won a nice little flip against him for just a cool milli.
I'm Sam Grafton. He is Griffin, the Shark Cage Benger. This is Olivier Busquet for the LA Sunset and Darren Elias of the Sao Paulo Metropolitans.
Yeah, and we talked about how they have played, you know, this is obviously familiar territory for the regular, hardcore, die-hard GPL fans out there who have seen most of the matches. And no, they follow the question. They follow the conversation at GPL sometimes. So it's a bit of deja vu here, seeing them both. But also, I just want to say it's interesting to see the trends and the kind of rivalries that can be created, the dynamics. And this is such a I mean, if you're a real fan of poker, then you love this right here.
And Darren Elias doesn't go for it with Jack High. Rightly so, as we can see. But interesting to see that Jack High definitely cannot win at Showdown here, but doesn't turn it into a bluff.
He could even have ace queen, just be better value. Ace queen, ace
I don't have too many bluffs here, but I think I have a few.
And Busquet with a pretty commanding chip lead. Obviously, that big all-in ace queen versus king nine suited.
Again. Yeah, I'm just gonna flat. That's man, what is happening? All right, so these boats I tend to 3-bet, especially the one where I have the pair and not the king 7, because the chance of him having a king. I mean, I guess with our stacks we'd get it in anyway, but such a dry board. I don't have that many. I don't have really many check raise bluffs at all, but I do have a few, maybe like 8-9 of hearts or jack 10 of diamonds or something. And just being nutted I like having it in my check raise range, at least part of it.
And this is one of the problems with betting ace queen high full value on this board. Is it is a very difficult spot when you face a check raise.
Shouldn't be avoided.
Yeah.
And if he decides to float and then hit something, if he has like queen jack or ace 10 or something,
Let's call at least
10
once.
or a queen or a jack or something, so could lose a pretty big pot. Yeah, this could be good. So he's got 48K, so we're gonna try to do this in 2 bets, yeah? Like 18 and 30? No, that's too big, 18 and 30. Maybe like 13 and then like a big jam. It's so dry, this board, you know? Maybe we shouldn't get too greedy. Whoa. I wonder if checking would be better here. I don't think so against this guy.
Really difficult spot for Darren Elias. Obviously, it may seem like he's just got ace high, but he does beat every bluff that Busquet has. These paired boards, it's hard to actually connect with strongly. That's why Darren Elias is thinking about it so long and hard. You know, not as simple as it seems when we can see the cards. If you're a bit newer to poker...
4 clubs is not really a card that, like, connects with a lot of my flop check raising bluff hands. Yeah, I guess maybe just had ace high and folders. All right, so now we're at... Oh, man, go for it, buddy.
See, Busquet a lot more clear about betting for value or betting as a bluff. Doesn't go for these kind of merged stabs, even though they do protect hands like ace king
Could definitely have bet this flop, especially with the king of spades, but...
Wonder if Darren can go for value here.
He hasn't been trying to steal too many spots.
Checks and shows down and wins.
Yeah, I mean, I just let him get that, but... Yeah, just getting some good hands. He's got 25 bigs. Yeah, this is definitely spot to 3 bets. Sometimes I just jam with 8s. I think maybe jamming is better. I don't think he's super likely to call, but 8s can run into some problems, especially with that stack if he calls. My cutoff might be like 9s to 3-bet rather than jam. The problem I think with hold on a second. The problem I think with jamming 8s in this particular context is that some of the value of jamming 8s in a normal game is that people will call you light because they think the jam represents a weaker range, like you don't have a lot of your nutted hands. Here, I just don't think people are really calling light at all, so I don't think that really applies, but still, I think it's the best play.
Olivier Busquet dropping some knowledge. He is, as we keep reiterating, one of the best heads-up players in the world. Obviously here, getting pretty strongly hit by the deck. Very tough for Darren Elias.
So we're going to be limping a bunch under 30 bigs. I'm just going to check here. Got it, Darren.
Busquet aware that Darren does call with some king high and ace high on that flop.
Call.
So
yeah, he's under 30 here. This is just a jam if he does anything, to be honest. I think if he open jams, I'd fold, though. This is a good hand. I think we're prefer at this depth to min-raise rather than limp if he was, brutal, heartbreak.
Couple of real playable hands here. The 7-8 of diamonds against
flush draw.
The Busquet.
Love me some flush draws.
The baby blue king do. I don't know about you, but I just really want to hear Darren Elias speak Portuguese again.
I'm sure that a lot of our viewers do, particularly
Straight
probably female viewers.
So we're not going anywhere.
So really interesting turn cards. Busquet up and down with the flush draw.
Wow.
Darren Elias with the gut shot and the other flush draw.
Now this is just good television. And like they keep the two blues on the left and the greens on the right
hit
there.
A pair.
It's
so I don't think he's likely to be going crazy on this card.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to bluff if he checks back. But he could check back some hands plans to call. But we just can't ever check this.
Get him off a 4, but
And really
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Even if he's taking a hand like King Jack or like Queen 8 or something and checking it, it's like
Busquet going for it with a big sizing with his bluff, and Darren Elias, loving life, deciding whether to call here or to shove.
it's a big bet, but I'm still all in, I think.
it's the only bluffs we have on these flush draws, pretty much. And we have some of them, but we don't have that many. We don't have any that have a 10 or a 5 in them.
A little bit, Busquet slow rolling himself. He's
Don't
hoping
expect him
this
to
is getting
call
through, but
unless he checked back on the turn with a hand that he could have bet for value. In theory with.
King 9 of clubs. Or Queen X of clubs. 4X of clubs.
Busquet working out what flush draws Busquet has. Elias does jam.
I guess you river to flush.
And makes the fold. Nice
Or-
hand.
I
And
don't know,
Darren
maybe to play.
Elias evening things
Can't
up.
call either way. Nice hand. They're pretty even here.
Obviously, one of the disadvantages of the big sizing Busquet picks is lost a lot of chips there with that river bluff. Probably, I mean, certainly unavoidable, but
You can't really do anything. No. Yeah, swing's quick.
strong pot for Darren Elias with double gut shot, well, straight draw, and king of spades
All
in the
UD.
sun.
All right, where we at? 12 and 24. Wow. Momentum has shifted. Yeah. This is kind of a close spot. I just think better of that hand.
Heads up here. Olivier Busquet representing the LA Sunset. Darren Elias of the Sao Paulo Metropolitans would be 7 points for the win, 5 for second place. Interesting flop here where both players flop a gut shot. Busquet obviously has the stronger ace X.
Win these ace high boards. Tough to call here.
And bets and takes it down. Obviously, Felipe Ramos did put up a win for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans in the 6-max last week as well.
Ran very well, played pretty good himself as well. Maybe
Yeah.
one.
It was just unfortunate that João Bauer then on the Thursday bricked out completely. Did he win one?
I think that he may have taken one. It was against Little, yeah?
Yeah.
But still 2-1. That's a 6-point swing either way. It's just it's a tough start for Brazil. So they're really hoping their import, their American
good turn card
stud end boss Darren Elias can really string together some good points here.
Yeah, Busquet, as he said, turning very strongly, 2 pair. And fortunately for him, Darren Elias does have a significant piece. When he checks turn, second pair is going to look reasonably strong. We'll chop this a percentage of the time.
Wow, caught there. Sweet. It's a good spot.
Busquet sensing very strongly he does have the best hand. The problem for Busquet is Elias might think this ace is connected with him on the river, but Busquet actually has been checking ace high twice, so not necessarily going to stab on the turn with
Should
ace.
be a lot of flush draws, hopefully not ace high flush draws. Pay to see it.
Feels kind of salty for Darren Elias, and his chip lead is cut back substantially.
No real equity card that really helps him. You win. This guy doesn't really ISO that much, so I'm not sure what to do if he does it here.
Busquet preempting the situation he's going to find himself in. Darren Elias with a monster, 2 jacks, and Busquet with an ace-6, which has kind of high card power, but doesn't flop particularly well. Does jam, and Darren Elias is going to call.
Whoops.
And if he holds, it will be a victory for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans.
Yeah.
Busquet needs a 6 or an ace. Oh.
Wow.
Where?
Brutal turn of events for Darren Elias and the Sao Paulo Metropolitans. Biscay can't even believe it.
Absolute. Barry Greenstein.
Barry Greenstein him, and we should have it all in once again.
Is the jack coming on the flop or the turn? That's the question. Here with Busquet running so good. I'd love to see Elias double up here because it's a very unfortunate turn of events. Actually, more outs for Busquet. An 8 will get the job done. But it bricks off.
Like right when you
There's
said that.
life.
Still alive?
And that's much deserved, Darren Elias. So unlucky there. 1 card away from the victory.
All in again here.
Where's the cord for my computer? There it is. You got it, buddy.
Busquet, the firm favourite here, with a 3-1 chip lead over Darren Elias.
This is actually interesting.
If you're joining us late, Jason Lavallee exited in 6th place for 0 points. Jonathan Little in 5th. Tom Marchese in 4th. Anton Wigg of the San Francisco Rush secured a 3rd place finish for 3 points. These guys battling it out now.
Okay. I don't really get to the river with many worse hands. I mean, I guess I could have some flush draws. What else could I have? 7-9 gets there. I guess I go 6-9 maybe. Maybe the Queen of Hearts. Maybe I'll check. I don't really know what to do. It's silly if he has a 10. Good.
Busquet wins with King High at Showdown, playing sticky.
Queen 5 suited is not a call.
This is, yeah, it's with the end. It's pretty good actually. Just limp for me. Let me see this flop. Good.
Interesting to think if Darren thinks it's strong enough to check back. He does begin to bluff with it. Not sure that Busquet would fold a King High or Ace High on this board though.
But he would have shoved those pre a lot of the time, yeah, depending on the king.
Well, so is it a bet for value though? I mean,
no, it's just a bet to protect. I get like a texture run out. I think like if Olivier has like 6-7 off or something and checks back and it turns like an 8, he might bet that turn. And then can you really call with Queen Deuce, right?
Yeah. So, but that's the problem with betting where you don't know why.
No,
you're
I'm not
betting.
disagreeing. I'm just I'm just trying to think of how he's trying to protect. I mean, it's Queen Deuce is a hard hand to kind of hold on to.
Good hand.
Really short now.
Good spot to give Busquet a walk. Darren Elias, as he says, under 10 big blinds.
Suited will be close. Suited. We have to call. See if he still limps here.
So frustrating when you're like 6, 7, 8 bigs and like.
This one will.
There we go.
Still
Just can't get anything.
Busquet.
Olivier trapping here with the suited
Good
queen.
luck.
Trapped? Kind of.
Good flop.
Darren Elias needs an ace to stay alive. He needs a
Can we get an
king
ace? Can we get a king?
to stay alive.
Good game.
Bricks off. Olivier Busquet wins this contest for the LA Sunsets. 7 points for his franchise.
Yeah, big 5 points for the San Paulo Metropolitans and Darren Elias, but can't help but think they could have had more if it wasn't for Barry on the river there with that ace. Another really impressive performance by Olivier Busquet, securing 7 more points for the LA Sunset. Such a tough heat. Of course, we saw Anton Wigg finish 3rd, but I mean, it's real tough for that. The Brazilians must be losing their mind when they saw that ace. I mean, you could see, you never expected to see, Darren Elias react like that to a bad beat, but seeing how it, him speaking the language, him interacting with the fans, the Vamos, it meant a lot to him. It hurt him, and it was tough for me to see.
Yeah, really frustrating, and it was an interesting hand because Busquet actually identified as he limped the A6, that actually Darren hadn't been raising his limps too much and didn't feel like super comfortable limp shoving as he might against some opponents. Didn't really go with his read, felt that part of his range because it doesn't flop very well, that he couldn't limp cool, jammed it in there and getting very lucky. Really interesting stuff. Darren Elias played incredibly well. Obviously, he took a kind of interesting spot. There was a big hand where Jonathan Little very, very short, but Darren Elias didn't jam all in with the 9s, as some people might have done. Opted to induce ramping up the variance, because sometimes Marchese might shove a hand like Queen Jack, which he would fold to a jam. Marchese jammed the 8s, and that was a big, big moment. Darren Elias used that as a platform to secure 5 points. But as you say, Olivier Busquet continues an excellent run here in the GPL. Really, really, really strong from the LA Sunset representative. Big 7 points for them.
Yeah, one of the early favorites for sure for the potential player of the year, most valuable player type situation. This is only week 4, of course, but you know the prognosticators in the lobby, in the booth, in the lounge. Pardon me. We'll have a lot to say about that. Do you think they're ready for us?
Yeah, I think they're probably ready.
They're always ready. They are always
relaxed.
ready.
Yeah.
Laura's always looking so great.
She's
Eric's
such a
got it all
professional.
together.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Lounge.
I'm ready. I am. Congratulations there, Olivier Busquet, picking up 7 points. He's getting used to winning this week, huh?
Yeah, well, we're going to look at the standings later on tonight, Laura, but it's really, it's a mirage, right? LA right now in 3rd place, but it's not true. It's Olivier Busquet in 3rd place, and that's something that the team will need to look at, because at this moment, Olivier's playing so well, but you've got to play all 6 of your players. So Olivier's playing really well, the rest of the team not so much, but boy, is he ever collecting points.
To be fair, this is the first 6 max that we've seen Olivier play.
Right.
We're seeing him play a lot of heads-up matches, but this one's the first 6 max. Just proving he can totally hold his own in the 6 max arena too.
And if you're Darren Elias, who had to play Olivier in week 1, was it week 1 heads up? He's probably like, come on, can I get someone else heads up? Can we get someone else? But hey, Busquet and Elias played very well too, and those are 5 big points for Sao Paulo as well, who actually would be in the playoffs if the playoffs started today at this point. So big points for both of those teams. But boy, Busquet is just a superstar from the start, from week 1.
I know for a fact as well, other managers, other players are intimidated by seeing him on the roster week in, week out for heads up, because Bryn from the Rounders, the New York Rounders, actually, because he was the home side, he wanted his brother Tyler to play this week. But once he found out it was Olivier Busquet playing, he changed it. So,
He did not want to send his brother to the Wolves, right? He didn't want to feed him to the Wolves.
To the Lions. Not the LA Sunsets. It's not quite as scary as the Lions, is it?
So instead he's got Thomas Marchese in there.
Yeah, so Tom Marchese will be playing Olivier Busquet on Thursday. Right, let's take a look where LA stand now after that very first 6 max match. So this is just for that match. Let's see who's got the points. Busquet there with 7 points with the win. Darren Elias with the Sao Paulo Mets, 5 points. Anton Wigg there for San Francisco Rush for 3 points.
It's very quiet 3 points by Wigg there. We didn't hear
kind
him.
Kind of snuck through there, didn't he?
That's right, the Marchese and the little busts, and actually Lavallee and Little having so little chips right from the start, where I guess midpoint through the game really helped the Wigg and Marchese out.
I think because we heard a lot of Jonathan Little as well.
Right.
You know, that's why we didn't sort of see or hear Wigg coming through with those 3 points. But there you go. That's how the points went in that last match.
And I think Jason Lavallee probably upset by that first performance, but hey, lost a couple flips, and that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Well, we have a slight tweak in the next match for the Americas Conference. I believe Scott Ball will be coming in for the Vegas Moneymakers.
Yeah, Twitch royalty comes in. The man who runs Twitch poker will be on the stream next, and it'll be fun to see.
I think a lot of people are interested to see his play, because I don't think many people are used to seeing him play at all, are they?
That's right. He spent some time at the World Series last year getting better, and that's great. A nice cash earlier this year at the PCA in the Bahamas as well. So, yeah, I think Scott Ball is ready to surprise a few people.
Well, we saw the points for that last game. Let's see now the standings and where all of our different teams are in those standings. How did that make an impact? Well, New York Rounders still at the top, clear by 4 points of Montreal. They're on 38. LA Sunset then up to 35 points now. That win for Busquet putting them in 3rd position. Sao Paulo Mets also up to 33, just 2 shy of the Sunset. The Las Vegas Moneymakers on 32, just 1 point below them, and then 5 points below. So that is the biggest gap we have. San Francisco Rush right at the bottom there.
Yeah, no pressure for Scott Ball or Anton Wigg, but points would be really, really welcomed at this point. Boy, it's sort of tough for Scott Ball to be put in that position that his first match, that team would need points in order to try to to not be in the bottom zone. So I think it's maybe a little too much pressure, but we'll see how Mr. Ball does in his first ever big league match.
Yeah, exciting stuff. We've got Anton Wigg, obviously, for San Francisco Rush again in this next match.
Yeah, he's going to be intriguing to see. We just mentioned that he was very quiet in this match, and that's very rare for someone like Anton Wigg, so it'll be interesting to see if the strategy changes. But again, I think the slow start to the match and then the really short chip stacks really made a difference to the way he was playing and probably was trying to avoid some minefields as well. So interesting to see that. And I can't wait to see Darren Elias again. I think he wants redemption. I think he'd like the nice little 7 points.
Well, he was so close, wasn't he? He nearly did it.
Right, and then just a great representative of Sao Paulo, speaking a bit of Portuguese during the stream as well, so that's always good.
Vamos.
He knows how to suck up to the good people.
Yeah, obviously a lot of the managers, a lot of the players will be in Monaco, I believe, this week, so maybe playing from there. Hopefully we might get a bit of a backdrop, something spectacular and nice to look at.
A lot of the managers and players are on Twitch right now, by the way, on the stream, so that's great to see them too. So welcome to the chat.
Indeed.
We saw a lot of the managers talking it up.
You want to get involved, send us your messages, tweet us. You can do #GPL, and also don't forget to follow us there as well at GPL. We want to hear your comments and your thoughts about everything you've seen so far this evening. Of course, we have been watching Six Max action. We already saw the Eurasian Six Max play out earlier. We had 2 matches there, 2 very interesting matches, and we're now on the home straight. We have one final America's Conference Six Max match to go. Do you think we can expect Busquet putting on a bit of a show in this one as well, hammering through?
No one's ever won. No one's won 2 Six Max matches from the start. So we'll see if that becomes Busquet's now calling card.
Let's take a look at some of the tweets we've had in during the last couple of hours of the show. So the Global Poker League tweeted about time for the Americas Conference, and Chad McVeigh said, with Jonathan Little commentating his play again, it's another opportunity for a priceless poker lesson. #PokerLife, Poker Yoda.
Yeah, maybe Little should try to find a price tag there because he has given us some valuable lessons. Absolutely.
I think for me, he's taught me more than most of the other people that have streamed.
And you have a lot to be taught, Laura.
I do.
So I agree.
I do indeed. This one's Todd Brunson. The Rome Emperors sent me a limo to get me back in time for my GPL match tomorrow.
Now we're thinking this is not true, but if it is, thank you, Max Pescatori, who will get Todd Brunson, I guess, back to Vegas on time so he can turn on the laptop and play his first big match tomorrow.
I want to play for the Rome Emperors if they get limo rides.
Oh, Max Pescatori treats his people. Too bad they're in last place, by the way. They should respect him as a manager.
I wonder who the worst manager is, who treats their players the worst.
Well, after his 0 points last week, I'm sure Igor Kurganov might say Liv Bourret is the worst manager.
Yeah, she might be getting that whip out, as we've heard from Justin Bonomo. Yeah. As we said, let us know your thoughts and your questions. Tweet us at GPL. We have another fantastic final America's Six Max Conference match coming your way this evening. So please do stay tuned. It's going to be happening very, very soon. And we will be expecting a lot of action. And we're going to see if Olivier Busquet can be the first player to get the clean sweep in the Six Max.
Right, and LA sitting on 3 wins, and all 3 wins coming from Busquet. So if they're looking for win number 4, why not come from our good friend Busquet in a few minutes? So it'll be interesting to see.
I think so.
Busquet, but I really have my eye on Darren Elias. I think it's his card. And let's not forget Jason Lavallee, probably really upset with the way things panned out. His first ever match for the Montreal Nationals. That team needing those points in order to stay with New York at the top. So wouldn't be surprised to see. It's an old Timex and Xuan Lu thing, right? Don't play so well in the first match and then win your second match. We've seen them both do that before, so wouldn't be surprised if Lavallee turns to the trick this time around.
We've got some really exciting heads-up matches for you tomorrow as well. If you're unfamiliar with how the format works, every Tuesday we are having Six Max action. Every Wednesday it's heads-up action from the Eurasian Conference, and every Thursday it's heads-up action from the Americas Conference. It's time to go back to the desk now, to Griffin and to Sam.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Laura. One substitution here for the Las Vegas Moneymakers. Scott Ball coming in for Jonathan Little, trying to put up more than the 1 point that Jonathan was able to muster. But this lineup, I mean, Jonathan Little admitted, and the pedigree he has, so much money earned. This is going to be tough for Scotty.
Yeah, baptism of fire for Scott Ball of the Las Vegas Moneymakers. Obviously, really great that Chris picked someone who is at the forefront of the poker revolution on Twitch, leading that charge, strategizing, facilitating so many great poker players coming onto Twitch, creating new markets, new fan base for poker. That's really, really good. And that's one of the things that the Sportify poker model allows. Sportify is not just about ranking players, the best in the world competing. It's about competing for something other than money. It's about competing for teammates. It's about competing for pride. It's about competing for points. And that's what one of the things it allows is to bring in people like Aaron Paul and like Scott Ball. That said, we do have a franchise that is struggling a little bit. It would be so much easier for Scott Paul coming into this match if the Las Vegas Moneymakers were riding high at the top of the table, but as they're struggling a little bit, now this decision of Chris Moneymaker to draft someone with not the poker background, of a lot of people, like, let's be honest, the London Royals picked someone like Sam Trickett. Here they picked something of an unknown factor. A lot of pressure on Scott Paul, but we wish him well going into this very tough lineup.
Yeah, and I also think it's a reflection of, we are trying to sportify poker here at the Global Poker League, but the reality is the nature of poker compared to a sport like tennis or football or soccer. Someone who's a fan of the game and who likes playing, can't just jump into the ring with, whoever it might be, Mayweather or what have you, and land a punch. Scott Ball can get in there. He can fight with these guys. I'm sure he trains a lot for this opportunity, and he really can represent, sort of the fan within the game, and that's really what's exciting.
Still a huge amount of to play for, both for Scott Ball and other people. I'm sure Jason Lavallee, as Eric Denis pointed out, would really be keen to register some points for the Montreal Nationals and keep their momentum going. For those of you who don't know, me and Griffin are amongst Jason's biggest fans. Obviously, there was a bit of sarcasm on our part when he exited, but that's only because we love Jason and know him and know him very well. But he's a great guy, and he will want to continue this great start for the Montreal Nationals and show what he can do. Obviously, it's great fun. You saw how much Darren and Olivier were relishing the challenge of battling out heads up. That's what everyone wants to do, put themselves in a position where they can compete for the big points for their team. So I hope we see more from Jason and, of course, Tom Marchese in the second match.
Yeah, and there's also the element of, the wild cards versus the wild cards thing. I mean, you talked about Trickett being the wild card for the London Royals. You have Scott Ball for the Moneymakers. There's going to be a competition between those 12 wild card players where they want to be that top wild card selection. And Lavallee, I mean, when he's not cracking jokes, he does know how to play a little poker, and I think you guys will see that in this second match just coming up.
Yeah, of course. And Darren Elias, 5 points secured already, a chance to make a big impact for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans. Another franchise that's been struggling a little bit, but, what a statement if he comes in, as that number one draft pick, registers big points. And, of course, Anton Wigg as well, San Francisco Rush, the other strugglers in the division. They had donuts from their number one and number two draft picks. Phil Galfond not registering a point against Jason Mercier. Anthony Gregg not registering a single point in his 6 max matches. It's really Anton Wigg that's been picking up the slack for that. He did well to finish third there, but going to be looking to register even more points in this second match. So really set up very, very nicely for a fiercely contested contest. And Scott Paul, really...
Scott Ball. Don't confuse the...
A genuine wild card. I mean, we literally don't know almost anything about this guy as a poker player. We know, as we say, that he's forging the way for poker on Twitch and to bring a new audience to this game that we love. But how will he fare against, a lineup, which, let's be honest, Jonathan Little, one of the top professionals in the world, was intimidated.
Yeah, and admitted that he really felt like, that whole idea where, if you can't see the fish at the table, you're the fish. Imagine how good a table has to be when a guy who has nearly $7 million in earnings.
If you can't see the fish in the commentary booth, then you're the fish.
There it is, right there. And the funny thing is, we've talked about Ball, we talked about Anton Wigg. It's a good thing. I like that.
Ball, Wigg, and Busquet.
Yeah, this is going to be a ball game, guys. But we haven't even really talked much about the fact that Olivier Busquet, Tom Marchese, we haven't talked about them since we come back on the air just now. Those two are just
I mean, what do you want? You want me to talk about them as well? I could talk about them.
Yeah,
Olivier Busquet. Olivier Busquet.
Yeah, give it to us.
Mate, you love going on about the MVP race. My early MVP obviously shows that he knows exactly what he's doing in the heads-up format. But there's another 2 points on the up for grab when you play heads-up here. And we've seen players struggle. We've seen players come into the heads-up part of the 6 max match with a chip lead and not really know how to construct their ranges, how to play king deuce, king three and the like. Busquet knows how to do that, and he's a closer. Good chance he could go for the double victory here.
And there's Scotty. Here's Scotty. Scotty doesn't know that he's up against the best players in the world. He's got a Twitch hat. He's opening up with a raise. He has queen six of spades in the first hand.
Unconventional commentary here from Griffin Benja.
That's a lot of Matt Damon references in the last two things we did. We were all over the Goodwill Hunting thing on Thursday.
And Olivier Busquet flopping best here. I'll take the lead, Griff. Don't worry. Defending the ace-10 out of the small blind. And we're going to... Scott Ball realizing this is a board that really connects with the small blind flagging range and not stabbing. Good to see early doors that he is aware of how ranges connect with different boards and not just blindly stabbing.
Range pretty hard.
Yeah. Anton Wigg does defend here. Got the gut shot to go with his second pair. And I wonder whether Anton realized that this hand isn't going to win at showdown very much. That jack hits all Busquet's semi-bluffs. And Wigg, pretty low in his range, does turn it into a bluff, forcing Busquet off the best hand. Here you see
pretty bad flop for me.
The top-level poker players,
spots like that.
The top-level poker minds at work, even with third pair, willing to take a hand that some people would take to showdown and turn it into a bluff. Great stuff from Anton Wigg, forcing Olivier Busquet off the best hand. Olivier using a 3x strategy, even on the button.
Great beard on Scott Ball, gotta say. Lines are in the right places there.
GTO.
Beard man myself, gotta respect a good beard. Comment on Twitch from Paul to Griffith 818. Busquet looks like Zangief from Street Fighter 2. I like that. Video game reference. Also, right over the head of my intellectual partner in crime.
No, I remember Street Fighter 2.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember. The Russian guy, yeah?
No, USSR actually. Jeez.
Okay. And Darren Elias flatting with two queens on the button. And Busquet does continue with the gut shot. And a flush draw blocker. And what a development on the turn. Busquet turning an open-ended straight draw. And Darren Elias turning a secret set. Well, having the old secret set on the turn.
Yeah.
And you know what? Busquet, he doesn't have many bluffs on this board. And
this is one of the only ones. I guess maybe ace jack of spades, ace 10 of spades.
Fars the turn. And Merry Christmas, Happy Diwali for Darren Elias in position with the secret set. I wonder how he plays this part of his range. Guess he's deciding between raising or calling.
Just to clarify with you guys with where the cameras are and everything, on your left we do have Scott Ball, who is, he's right above himself there. And Busquet is in the far right corner there.
Yeah.
Just so you know that is not Darren Elias looking all disappointed about his set.
Yeah.
That is, in fact, Busquet disappointed about his two-barrel.
He's changed the lighting. He's gone for the old, is this like the strip club lighting? You know, the low. So, and Darren does raise. And Busquet with the quick fold.
With the relinquishing of...
Yeah. Obviously, there's parts of his range that he would continue with, but Darren Elias forcing him off the draw.
And obviously, Scott Ball types 170 words per minute. Did you hear that? That was amazing.
Jason Lavallee. Lavallee or Lavallee? Lavallee.
Oh, well, that's just offensive to Canadian. You're just saying it's Lavallee because it's a Canadian thing.
Lavallee.
Lavallee.
Okay, Jason Lavallee with the ace-queen in the small blind. Just calling. Obviously, one of the reasons to just call is to keep in the hands you dominate. And he does have Darren completely dominated. But Darren doesn't care. Firing out a C-bet. Pretty loose continuation bet here. Given that there's no backdoors. What I mean by that is most people structure their c-betting range around, you know, having a flush draw they can turn, a straight draw they can turn, 2 overcards to the board. Here, Darren, with nothing really going on, perhaps suspecting that Jason's pretty high card heavy in this spot, and that he could take him off his hand on turns or rivers, would be really out of line to fire again, but may well work. Guess that's what Darren is considering, and he does fire again with a big pot bet. Darren Elias flexing his poker muscles in position.
That was cool.
With the Queen 4. Yeah, that's how I think of Darren Elias.
Yeah.
I just like, he like 4Xs, I call, he bets the flop, I call, he pots the turn, and I fold. That's like every hand I've ever played with.
Yeah.
Go ahead and pop 10 up here.
Go get him, Scotty. Scotty be good. I love the sizing too, actually.
Never played with Tom, and Tom probably doesn't know anything about me, so I expect to get a lot of like just flats then folds basically on flops. Interesting flop. I'm not going to bet too big here.
Pretty tough spot, actually. I mean, we obviously see that he's flopped.
Such a draw heavy board.
Yeah, I mean, in general, you would expect a big bet on that texture. Against pocket fours is going to work, though.
Yeah. Pretty fortunate board there. Scott obviously happy to get that through. Great to see him actually open that Queen 6 suited. You know, I distracted him by my ridiculous song, but the fact that he's coming out firing, you know, you got to
I think that's absolutely right, and he's got to do that. You
can't. Darren open under the gun. Not even going to bother defending my ace-3 here. A lot of respect for Darren. I should just be crushed so often.
Yep.
Busquet with bad cell phone service in his house, I guess. Struggling a little bit. And quite a lot of history and dynamic between Darren and Busquet. Obviously, Olivier, we know, is just sticking to a set strategy with 3-bet this ace-king against anyone. I wonder whether it's just entered into Darren's head a little bit, just pausing before he makes the fold. Busquet, fan of our commentary, and Jason Lavallee, who got cooled to exit in 6th last match with a strong hand under the gun, 2 jacks, and Anton Wigg with queens on the button. Disastrous hand over hand situation for Jason. I think because he's open under the gun, he's got to decide whether to 4-bet or call. Most likely he's going to call.
Agreed.
You know, he's not messing around too much under the gun. And
brutal flop here for Lavallee, obviously.
Yeah. Really, I mean, he's going to lose some more chips here for certain. Pretty orthodox to check to the 3-better in this situation. But if we imagine the hands Jason's going to arrive here with, arrive at this flop with, jacks is amongst the strongest of them. Probably going to 4-bet kings and aces. Going to have some ace king, ace queen, just high card hands here. King queen suited. So can't fold the jack. Oh.
Bingo bongo. Here's Johnny.
And as Griffin's comments indicate, big turn card for Jason Lavallee. Probably has 2 Jack 10 combos that just outdrew Anton Wigg. Really going to be interesting to see what Anton does here. The other thing that's going to encourage Anton to bet is this brings a lot of draws. He does check back. Anton Wigg, great play. Recognizing that it's hard to 3-street a worse hand on that jack turn, and checks back. Really interesting run out. And Jason bets for value. And what does Anton actually beat now?
Just 9s and 8s turned into a bluff, essentially. I mean, you know, maybe it's something like Queen 10 of club, Queen 10 suited, but I don't think Lavallee peels that pre.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the queen. Yeah, I mean, it's really Anton. So interesting how such a strong flop for the queens, such an easy value bet on the flop, and that runs out in such a way that Anton in a real difficult spot. Obviously, we know that he's beat here, but it's so frustrating to have to relinquish such a strong hand. But this is, of course, a horrific run out. Does make the fold, and Jason Lavallee going to be so frustrated that ace has come on the river when he sees this hand back.
Guys, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern, and 6 p.m. Central European time, Vanessa Selbst of the London Royals will face off against the fiery, colorful, enigmatic Moscow Wolverine general manager and star of the early match earlier today, and Anatoly Filatov. Please go come check that out. 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern, 6 Central European time. That is tomorrow, Wednesday, April 27th, my birthday.
And Busquet facing a 3-bet. Weird spot here for Darren Elias. A lot of players wouldn't elect a 3-bet hand like pocket threes in this spot. But now that he has done, does he consider 5-betting all in? Does he take his pot odds and flat in position, or does he just let the hand go? He does make the fold. Busquet listening to our commentary back. If you're just joining us now, Olivier Busquet did win the first match in the Americas division, beating Darren Elias heads up.
Gotta walk. Hype.
Walk hype. Definitely something to consider too about Scott Ball. Obviously, you know, works with Twitch, but is a huge fan of, you know, poker on Twitch, and probably use it as a great learning tool, and you know, watching the popular streamers, whether it be the likes of Jason Somerville,
Sam Grafton.
Well, you know, let's not push it. Of course, Shagwar_poker, also known as Flush Entity, was playing for a while.
Back in the day.
Former Counter-Strike legend. So he's seen his fair share of live poker. Hashtag in the booth.
And Jason does continuation bet. A lot of good turn cards for his holding.
That is one of them. Giving him more equity for 4 jacks, 4 Johnnies for the nutty. For the as my colleague might call it.
And interesting whether we definitely barrel a heart. Interesting whether he fires this turn. Think it's likely. King obviously very good for the player in positions range. He can be c-betting King Queen, King Jack, Ace King, and such like. Busquet doesn't call this flop with that many King X. You wouldn't imagine. Does fire, putting a lot of pressure on Busquet's range. See, he doesn't block any of those straight draws. Had he a hand like Jack 9 off with the Jack of Spades, would cut down some of Jason's bluffs on the turn. So I think it's possible Busquet does call. He does indeed. And what a run out. Jason Lavallee arrives at the river with, along with Jack 10, you'd imagine one of the worst hands he can get here with.
I guess I should talk more then.
I didn't know that.
Should probably do that. That'd be cool.
It's pretty annoying, actually.
Busquet didn't realise. No wonder he was just... I thought it was a bit unusual for Olivier, such a chatty character, to just be on his phone.
He didn't realise he was on?
No, he didn't realise. We'll sack someone in production. I'd love to... I wonder what sizing Jason picks here with his bluff. I think particularly when it's live streamed, he's going to feel like he's got to go for it here. And very sensitive sizing. Doesn't blast it. Recognises that a lot of his bluffs have got there. Hands like ace X of spades, ace 5, ace deuce have all rivered a pair.
It's a tough spot.
It certainly is. Is Olivier Busquet in MVP form?
Lot of pressure.
34 of the Global Poker League. We might be reflecting back on this GPL history in Season 7. This was when Olivier sent a message.
In Season 7, this would be like standard check raise all in or something like that. Though it'd be like the game would be completely different. Would be like, how bad is this poker? How bad are the commentators?
Oh my God! These people are raising pre. What are you doing? It's limp or full, pal.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Busquet working through Jason's range, as in what bluffs does he arrive at the river with? And he does fold the 6-9 on the river. Terrible run out for his holding. Jason Lavallee picking up an important pot there. And, you know, off to a very good start, the chip leader here in this early match.
Yeah, and really insightful what you said there, too, about how, you know, the combinations of, you know, full bluffs that have turned more equity on the turn or what have you, or had enough equity on the flop. It's like he does have some ace deuces, ace fives in his range, which make a pair of aces on the river. So, you know, it's hard for Olivier to call when there's so many bluffs and so many value hands.
Interesting spot now for Scott Ball. Wow, he made that decision very quickly.
The gun. I didn't watch much of the first match either, but I haven't seen really Darren do anything crazy yet or out of line. Not a great flop for my 10s here. So I don't suspect Jason to just be, you know, betting multi-way here very often on this board. Unless he just got it.
Everyone having...
This hits Darren's range pretty hard too, though.
A little bit of, well, Darren knows
Love to see us go check again.
That his hand isn't good, but everyone very cautious.
See him, like, checking like Queen Jack here. We have so much showdown value. I don't really want to blow up the spot very much.
Jason does improve
Obviously
on the river.
Not a great river card.
Jason still checks.
Free showdown. So that was like ace 5 or something. Ace queen, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great start for the comedian here.
Yeah, everyone's sort of frozen up. Such strong ranges when there's an under the gun open and a cold flat of a 3-bet. Kind of froze everyone. Jason not value betting, not quite sure whether Scott Ball has ace king on occasion. These guys, obviously, most of them are familiar with each other. Scott Ball, a completely unknown entity, you would imagine, to Jason.
Entity.
Put money when we were ahead and put nothing when we were behind. Sick life.
So these are the gloves from my fight. They still have a bunch of dry blood on them. I don't think I'm going to wash them. My boy told me he was going to, like, I don't know, put them into a frame or something. Pretty crazy, though. My, like, left leg was caked in blood. It's pretty gross.
Any thoughts, Sam?
And Darren Elias flopping best here. Checks over to Marchese. And now he has let Tom catch a piece of the board. It's going to feel like an 8 is sometimes good, although in my experience, this check and then delay bet on such a dry and favorable board is somewhat suspicious.
Can't wait for that lasagna. It's going to be so good.
And Darren wins at showdown.
Jacks again. Sweet.
I think I'm getting a lot of respect here, and I opened the gun so I can open
Scut ball.
fairly wide.
Opens. With the gun.
I haven't played with anyone on this table very much, actually.
But I mean, Jack 6 handed seems
Yeah,
pretty strong.
I almost like this open, even though it's not going to work out, just because it just shows me that Scott Ball's willing to go to war.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
willing to go to war.
I mean, I think you can't. You're not going to do anything in this match if you just sit back.
Yeah.
You've got to like mix it up with these guys, and obviously you're going to have to run above expectation to put a big score on the board. But you know, if you don't play any hands.
Yeah, exactly. Be looser than people would expect in some
I
spots,
expect
and
Olivier
tighter
to
in
be
others.
pretty strong here. He should be giving me a bit of credit in my opens. I haven't been opening too wide. So I'm just going to go ahead and muck this.
If you're joining us late, we've already seen Olivier Busquet win a match here in the Americas division.
Earlier, flat there, but I just expect to be crushed so often.
Earlier we saw Alexander Luneau.
And we've got the Ace King hype.
And I'll let Scott play this hand first before we recap.
Going to pop Tom up here again.
Yeah, earlier we saw Alexander Luneau secure 7 points for the Paris Aviators, and Anatoly Filatov, the manager of the Moscow Wolverines, secure a second place and a first place for his franchise. Very impressive performance from Anatoly, who will be playing against Vanessa Subs tomorrow. And Olivier continuing his strategy of defending wide. Seems like every other minute there's a pot between Darren and Olivier. It's Elias and Lavallee who have got off to the best start here.
I'm going to my button here. Tempted to pop him up there again, but I have a feeling he'll get sick of it soon.
This is a strange choice here.
Flop top pair.
And
I'll take that.
Gonna get Scott in trouble.
It's hard to make top pair.
What the heck is this?
Yeah, this is a little bit of an experience from Scott Ball, defending his button way too wide. Obviously, little results orientated because he's Tom's flopped really strongly and he's caught a piece. But King Deuce off against one of the best players in the world.
Too, though. Can't be loving life by any means.
And 2 draws on the board now. Spades and clubs, obviously.
It's the kind of board where he's going to like bet something like 3,000, 3,500 or something, just blast most rivers and put him in a tough spot. With 2 draws out there for sure. It's like a perfect siding for river shove. I'm gonna go ahead and fold here. Like I said, there's just he's gonna blast most rivers and.
Scott Ball getting away from a caller for the minimum, but I think
it's fine fold though.
The minimum amount of chips you can lose in that hand,
especially knowing I'm
on the button. He got away from the minimum. I like Scott Ball. This is a huge leak in his game, and you need to fix it. You don't flat the king deuce off to a single raise from Thomas Marchese. You're doing something wrong. I'm looking out for you. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Everything else he said has made sense too. I think that there's for some reason something taught him someone wrong. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That was one of the worst hands I've seen in the GPL.
Scott Ball being flamed there by the Griffin the Banger Banger. Not a fan of that strategic choice. Dear.
Slightly bigger sizing for Tom. He's very good, obviously.
There was actually a little bit of interaction between Jason Lavallee and
Tell me Scott Ball.
And Scott Ball yesterday. Jason Lavallee tweeted, "Playing my first GPL match tomorrow. Tune in to see me duke it out with 4 world-class players and Scott Ball," which was Scott Ball said, "It's nice to have at least one player at the table that's 3 points for the Las Vegas Moneymakers at the end of the day." And Lavallee tweeted, "3 points. Aren't you part of the GPL because of some sort of Poker Make-A-Wish Foundation?"
It's a great chirp.
That is the level of banter. You can follow Jason Lavallee at Constant Color Up. Very humorous individual. Here we have Tom Marchese, double gut shot. Pretty strong draw. Jason Lavallee with top pair. And Marchese does bet again. This is obviously one of the problems with Scott's fold, is Marchese there is betting draws as well as his set. And if you can't cool down with your top pair, probably likely you should have folded pre-flop.
It's a really interesting turn card.
Hope Scott is talking.
And Jason does make the fold. And Tom Marchese rallying back to starting stack.
Someone on Twitch just asked, "Where's Ron Paul?" You'll see him soon this summer, I'm sure.
And Jason Lavallee with 2 queens. Three bet coming. Just deciding on sizing with Anton stack. And Anton in a real coffin here. Like, if this was light, it's so difficult to combat. See, we can see Jason has the goods. And I wonder if Anton is considering shoving. He does make the fold. Good discipline from Anton Wigg. Jason Lavallee continuing his good start here in the second America's match of the day. He'll be wanting to stay on, to go deep so that he can get back on webcam and tell us a thing or two, I would imagine, Griff. And we finally find a hand that Olivier Busquet will fold in the big blind.
And it's the kitchens.
The client's super smooth. This is nice. Definitely up in the king queen here.
And Anton Wigg, 2 10s in the small blind. 3 strong holdings being dealt out here.
Going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. There's so many different ways it could.
Yeah.
We could see Elias shoving the stack
Pop
in
up
here.
with
We could see
Anton.
Ball shoving.
I mean, the old school Darren Elias,
fold.
who I used to play with, would shove here. I don't know whether the game's moved on a little bit now where he does fold. No, he does shove. I don't blame
Well,
him
that makes
for
this easy.
Anton is going to reluctantly call off, but he, oh well, let's give
Don't
it him a
predict
second.
the action now, Samuel.
Yeah, he does call off, and in great shape.
Oh, bingo, bango, bongo. Vamos,
Wow.
vamos, vamos, vamos.
And
So sick.
oh,
No vamos, no vamos. Ja, 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 ja.
Rebink. Rebink for Anton Wigg of San Francisco Rush. Big pot puts him second in chips. Darren Elias running into it. Pair over pair situation.
Personally, I would have been a little bit tighter in that spot if I was Darren, just because I think Anton's range against Scott is relatively value heavy.
I'm inclined to agree.
Scott's been playing pretty tight, and who knows how he's
especially because Scott opened 2.5x. And
so I just think Anton's likely to just have a good hand pretty often there. So
yeah, I agree.
But what do I know?
I mean, what do I know compared to you too? It's tough. It's easy to be an expert when you see the hands. That's for sure.
This is interesting. I think I'm actually gonna fold that.
Yeah, these small pairs, not much playability when the big blind is capable as Jason Lavallee and will play post flop so well. Obviously, overcards flop so often. And Darren Elias with what a loose open here into Tom Marchese and Jason Lavallee. Probably want to be tighter off this short stack. Not like Jason Lavallee sets him all in with the ace-king. Continuing to play his game, Darren Elias. Not someone that backs down easily.
Did Anton bluff that with 10-8?
He did, Olivier.
It's interesting. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Olivier just catching up with earlier hand.
It's tricky, man.
Olivier tipping the cap. The future MVP of Season 1 of the GPL. Tip of the cap to the Swede. What up now, Swedes?
Anton Wigg, of course, EPT Copenhagen winner. Anti-Svanti online. Part of the brain trust that surrounded Martin Jakobsen's WSOP victory. And loose open here. And it might save Darren Elias because Ace-10 versus Anton's opening range is going to be a fold. And now Tom Marchese with the boots. Flat calls.
A nice comment here from They Know on Twitch. Scott's balls, Anton's wigs, Olivier Biscuit, Thomas Marchese.
I mean, we're
cheese, biscuits, balls, and wigs.
We're setting the bar low, but
yeah.
I mean, come on.
I mean, that was the same. That was the same guy that made the AA Ron joke. So I feel like I had to throw him a limb.
Okay. Lucky.
I love a good AA Ron.
And did Tom Marchese just check back in position here as well? Slow play upon slow play. And I wonder if he does get Anton to bite. Yes, he does. Flatting the aces pre-flop, checking back the turn. And now Anton Wigg with a hand that can't possibly be good at showdown. Will Anton fire? He waves the white flag. And now Tom Marchese with aces in position. Relishing the situation. Probably going to see a pretty small sizing here. Tom doesn't get to the river with many hands he needs to bluff with. And that isn't going to work out. See Anton with nothing. Somewhat reversal of fortunes with Darren and Olivier short, and Jason and Tom, who struggled a little bit last match, doing reasonably well, particularly, obviously, Jason, who was our 6th place finisher last match.
Definitely opening the ace-10 here.
I'll make a wish.
Studs are obviously calling.
Wild card. Scott Ball coming in for a raise.
I mean, a part of me thinks that King Deuce hand was just some sort of like meta game flow thing where now like 10 minutes later he's going to be like,
Queens.
Okay, now I know they see that.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to play my button super tight.
Queens.
Yeah, maybe it is.
I think it has to be, right?
At least I heard that somewhere. I think I read it in Phil Hellmuth's book.
I mean, if there's a book I would really recommend for Scott Paulo, it would of course be Chris Moorman's Book of Folding, because he needs to learn the king deuce on the button is not a hand you want to play.
If you're joining us late, Griffin Benja referring to Chris Moorman, he played did a lot of folding in his early.
I mean, it was all perfect poker because he's like the best player ever, but he was every hand he was talking about him folding. It was fun. Not what you were expecting.
So Marchese coming in for a raise. The New York rounder with over 13 million in tournament winnings. Pretty sick numbers.
Definitely just going to go and call here. See a flop. Start off with a check. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check again. With the intention of calling, obviously.
Good read here from Scott, trying to do some bluffs. No need to try to get value from this when Tom's just going to fold. But Tom is a quick one. Really going to be delaying his bluff to the river. So
we're not going to bet too much. We're just going to bet a little over half pot. I think he's betting his jacks on the turn for sure. Pretty sick if you check back the king of spades there. Obviously didn't with the fold, but
yeah, perfectly well read by Scott here. Which just confuses me more.
One play here.
Marchese dwelling up with the queen 4 suited. It has been one of the loosest openers we've seen. He's playing like pretty loose from cutoff and button. Definitely, he might consider opening this. Does fold. And the reason Jason's going to be able to open here is Darren Elias is very short, and Olivier Busquet going to have to play tighter than normal on the big blind. But he
definitely
does fold.
open here with Olivier.
In your eye.
Should be crushed there pretty regularly. I definitely want to start mid-open and limping here at some point versus
Darren's short,
blind versus blind like that.
Around.
And if he keeps ripping it like that, we'll still snap him off something good eventually, hopefully.
This is also potentially a good
Maybe
spot.
playing our button here with King 10. Love it when you know these small pots, that's for sure.
Anton Wigg with king high sets down Elias all in and is dominated. A 6 would see Elias out the door or backdoor clubs. No help on the turn. Darren Elias looking good for a double up.
All right, so that basically resets the game.
Yeah, and as Olivier...
Everyone has similar chips except for Jason.
Olivier astutely pointing out exactly what I was about to say. Jason Lavallee.
Sick life for Nationals right now.
4-8. It's going to be a high variance.
Definitely open the 9-10 suited here.
Game from here on out, I guess.
Interesting to see how Anton proceeds here. Obviously, a hand you really want to play, but only 25 effective. You know, your flatting range here is always going to be hands like this, so you're very kind of... It's just tough to play.
Pretty good flop for us. I'm going to start off with the bet here. We're going to make it small, though. Nothing too crazy. Definitely want to gamble a bit at this table with all these beasts.
Wow. Anton Wigg trying to exploit Scott Ball.
the ICM pressure, though. I don't necessarily love the play. Call and see a turn.
Bingo, bango,
Bink.
bongo.
Definitely go ahead and check back. Hopefully he just jams it.
Anton Wigg getting very out of line.
I don't think he's going to. I think he's actually going to check back a lot of his like random ace-x hands now. Yeah. I don't think he was checking back when he was 2-pair hands. We're actually going to bet here small. Not too worried about the queen. If he has a hand like queen 7, I think he's been turn ace queen, obviously.
The old queen 7 flat on the button,
See if
anticipating.
he bluffs, but I think he's checking so many hands for showdown value there.
I mean, we all know
So much of a showdown volume.
What his button flatting range. He thinks people. I mean, I'll take a queen 7's a computer hand. I mean, if you're gonna flat the king deuce, queen 7.
That's a big pot. We needed it.
You know.
Darren Elias electing to limp king 7 off. Again, really, really interesting. And look at this. Darren Elias top pair, Jason Lavallee second pair, and Tom Marchese top second and bottom pair, and leading out into the field. This should be alarm bells for Darren. Very common to see the small blind leading low boards, but kind of rare on this kind of flop. Darren forced to call and turning very strongly. Tom Marchese going to be aware that he's got a lot of kings when he flats the flop. Tom Marchese cursing his luck. That said, perhaps it's more common to limp hands like Jack 10, Jack 9 than it is King 7 off.
Precisely,
in terms of the player pool. Obviously, we're learning things about Darren Elias's game, a game that has won him millions of dollars. And he bets the turn, and Marchese really in a tough spot. Gets away from his hand on the turn. Strong poker from Marchese, putting out a bet with the best hand, check folding when immediately outdrawn, and the Busquet run good machine has been switched back on.
Could just jam, but like, it's 2 aces, you know? These guys are smart, but
it's
2 aces. Yeah, oh, well.
Obviously not a great flop.
I hope he doesn't have a king, you know?
Tune that up in the R price is just so good. I'm not going to waste any time, though.
One of the interesting things for me is, like, obviously you can imitate the strategies of these great players, but if you haven't done the work, you know, Olivier Busquet can flat so wide because he's worked so much on his game and how to play the weaker parts of his range. I think if players less skilled than him
some big adjustments for sure.
follow in his footsteps and start flatting 3-4 off, they're going to get in big trouble.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is it not even to necessarily suggest that, you know, Scott Ball isn't someone that's passionate about poker and that isn't working on his game, but this is like years and years of the highest stakes experience that has created the monster that is Olivier Busquet. I mean, you look at his work ethic in you know, in the arena of like MMA, whatever he decides to dedicate himself to, this is the guy that's going to push to get to the top, and I think that it's important.
Player button here versus Jason for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Scott continuing with this loose strategy, which I admire. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting when the guys see the king deuce hand.
That's cool, man. That's what he plays.
Wonder if Jason will take a stab at this. Does have, you know, an 8, a 5, a heart he can turn, 2 overs to the board. Just depends. I think he's a little bit worried about the strength of Scott's flatting range. We can see that Scott is flatting this spot very wide. And Anton Wigg, with a diamond in his hand as well, might feel like he has to go with it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's a really terrible spot to get creative with Anton on the way, too. This price is just so good pre.
Jason calling 6K into 20. The problem is any draws Anton has, even if he has like King 5 of hearts or, you know, a gut shot, he's got Jason in bad shape. Not quite sure how the maths works on it, on this spot.
Cool hand.
Wouldn't like to be in Jason's spot trying to work it out. He does make the call.
God, Lavallee is such a boss. Just going for it. Doing the math. Getting rewarded. Nope.
And Anton Wigg, a very dangerous opponent, a very experienced poker player, doubled up by Jason
Olivier.
Jason's funny.
Oh, is he? The comedian. And you guys
swing.
wonder why we call him the comedian.
Weird game.
Scott Ball, he don't slow down, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
He has come to play. He is a wild card, and he's going to play
lots of-
wild.
Lots of folds when we're opening the cutoff.
Mate,
Wild card, bitches.
mate, he just looks at Darren
That's not
Elias'
really
blind
easy.
and
Cut the
says,
brakes.
I'm after that. He just says, listen, Darren, you're a weak player. I'm going to come and take your blind, mate.
Hey, mate, I'm loving it. I just.
Oh,
here we go.
Well, this hand plays itself pretty easily too.
He
2
raises.
aces is a good hand. I read that in Phil
Listen, the
Hemmings'
only
book,
reason
too.
I was so disparaging against his flat because I want him to get better. I want him to be able to take these guys on. But
and
aces, not
gets
even
the-
enable. Shrimp on the barbie.
Come on, raise again, Scott. And Darren Elias likes to play his button. That is what we're learning here. Limping the kick 7 off, limping the 6-10 suited, wanting to play a really, really wide range. And Jason Lavallee ripping it in. Obviously, Darren can be trapping, in inverted commas, trapping with worse, and calling with ace-x. Yeah,
Much less action-packed than when playing heads up.
Darren Elias looking
A lot
like he's
more
going to be the
downtime.
victim of a cooler here.
I feel like I should be entertaining, but I'm not. I'm just thinking about my lasagna the whole time.
You're pretty to look at. It's okay, Olivier. Just pipe down, buddy.
And Darren Elias shoves Anton Wigg with pocket kings.
Call. There we go.
Darren Elias needing an ace or he will be out for 0 points.
Darren has not run well in this GPL so far. I'd say that.
5 or an ace. King in the ring. Anton Wigg, the recipient of a very big pot. It gives the Swede and San Francisco Rush representative the chip lead. And Darren Elias, after finishing second in the first heat, exits in 6th place. Good news for San Francisco.
He was
Rush
bluffing. He was bluffing. Wow. Good hand, Jason. Nice play. Very nice.
Olivier, of course, referring to the Queen 10 versus 6-9 suited 3-9-4 King Ace run out, where Lavallee very effectively 3-barreled Olivier off his hand.
Oh, man. It's no fun to see.
And Tom Marchese, considering his options, he is actually shortest stack now. And he's considering
Nice hand,
a
Jason. Very
jam.
nice.
And
All in. What do I do here? Someone tell me what to do.
Fairly tight fold.
Someone else tell me
Less
what to
than
do
10 piece,
here.
you can call it. We
Think
shove
it's
a lot,
call?
but
Man, I don't know.
points are so important in this
I
league.
guess so.
Points are so
Busquet
important.
with the dominating hand.
And the real storyline, Scott Ball, an opportunity to slip into the final 4 here of this incredibly difficult field.
Runs out cleanly. Busquet now doubling up to second in chips. Crucial potsies. Tom Marchese out in 5th. New York Rounders, who have started the GPL so well, not
Big
doing
pots
too
the
good
next.
today.
So sick, man.
And as you say, Scott
I bet I
Ball.
still have more cauliflower than you, though.
Scott Ball in good
Three bet
spirits.
fold would be sweet.
Olivier Busquet seems to. Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
I mean, I have to call here.
Hands
Wow,
a bit too
ace
good.
ball.
Oh,
Oof.
that's huge for Scott
Can't
Ball.
win them all, I guess.
Huge for Anton Wigg.
Ace me.
And it would have been even huger for the comedian flopping
Good
a queen
game.
high flush.
GG,
Oh, well.
Olivier Busquet.
Can win them all.
First and fourth, very respectable.
See you later, guys.
A good
Info
LA.
nine-point
chips.
performance.
And we have queens. I like queens. Queens are good still.
Oh wow, it's a huge spot here for
I
Lavallee.
liked them last time. I still like them this time.
Ball, pardon me.
And Scott Ball is going to probably just raise here. He won't be jamming such a strong hand.
Definitely going to be popping it up here.
And Jason Lavallee, King Queen, blind or blind. This is a very strong holding. King Queen suited, all in. And
Snap
Scott
call with the
Ball,
queens. There's King Queen. We're in great shape.
the wild card, with a chance to go heads up.
No king one time.
What
Hold.
an unexpected turn of
Hold.
events this would be if he could.
Come on, dealer. Come on, dealer.
Scotty doesn't know how he
Let's
got
go.
heads up.
Jason Lavallee out in third spot.
Well, he's got some white vans left.
Oh, yeah, he does, sorry. 2 big blinds, 2.5 big blinds left. Big moment for Scott
Feels
Ball
good, man.
on his
Not
GPL
bad.
debut.
It doesn't feel bad, man. It feels good, Jason. Real good.
And this is what we talked about, the unexpected.
And what we said about a bit of needle as well. You know, they were having the back and forth on Twitter. Jason Lavallee suggesting Scott Ball was the recipient of a Make-A-Wish Foundation grant.
How good Anton's
to
versus like
appear in
match
the
queen,
GPL.
boom.
4-5 or queen required.
And the 5 pops off. Scott Ball heads up against Anton Wigg here for the 7 points for the Moneymakers.
Sick.
And
at least you've got more points than Jason going to the heads up. Bang, bang. I said it. Let's go.
Scott Ball
Shots
calling
fired.
out Jason Lavallee. And who knows? He is in with a shout. Anton Wigg
I just thanked him for killing everyone else for me, you know?
has him
Doing all the hard work.
2-1 in chips.
All the heavy lifting for me, you know?
But Scott Ball with a chance to book a win on his GPL debut. So really, if you're just joining us, to remind you, this is a David versus Goliath type of scenario. Anton Wigg, an EPT winner, huge online boss
really hard
as
to make a pair.
Anti-Sfanti. And
I
Scott
didn't read that in Phil's book, though. That was in some other book.
and Scott Ball, the head of Twitch Poker. So more of a background in poker as entertainment.
Interesting turn card.
Here he is.
There's the main event himself.
And just to see whether Anton does check it back.
Charitable River card. We're going to take here a little bit, so it looks like we're thinking about maybe betting, you know, Jack of Hearts or something. Hoping he just checks it back.
Anton Wigg does win at Showdown, extending his lead over Scott Ball. 7
making
points.
late pair is hard. Making top pair, that's just so
up for
sick.
grabs.
So sick. We started with the pair this time. Holy moly.
Yeah, and you know, a
The
great
dream.
opportunity for Anton Wigg of the San Francisco Rush. They need to string together some wins, obviously coming into the day with just 24 points. So this is definitely a great opportunity for Anton to help the Rush gain some ground. He was a last-minute replacement for Faraz Jaka, who was unfortunately not able to make the match. So for him to come in here, get the 3 points from the first match and a potential 7 here, huge for San Fran. San Fran.
I think he's checking back a lot of his, like, random king high hands, ace high hands, but he's not folding the turn, definitely. Not a good card for us to lead out there.
I think with a flush draw, that is one of the combos you should attack with. I think you can surrender all your cards, all your hands where the cards are under a 10. Perhaps a small mistake there.
Yeah, it's just an inexperienced thing. I mean, it's to be
Man,
expected.
the comebacks might be so real. Let's do it, guys. Doing it for the Twitch chat.
Scott Ball repping for the Twitch community. Obviously, someone that's helped pave the way for the GPL by bringing poker to Twitch.
Absolutely.
Great platform for
Flop
poker
top
fans.
pair. I like flopping top pair.
Not today.
It's a pretty hard
Not
thing
on
to
this
do.
board. Not with this man. Not this day.
Pretty sure about to have 20 big blinds too. Definitely gonna be calling here. Don't love the turn.
And Anton's going to think this is a good card for him. Obviously, Scott will check call a number of ace high.
I'm going to go ahead and call here again. Hope the river goes check. If he blasts, leave it on that right then. His C-betting a lot of his random ace-x hands, I think, too. But if he did have a hand like... so he plays this.
Yeah, this is a river where Scott Balsam stands a decent chance of getting away from it. It's not even clear that Anton will always bet this river. 8-9 and King-Queen and Hearts have all got there. I think Anton probably will go for value, though. Just in the tank now. Also deciding whether he can go all in or should bet small when so many of Anton's bluffs have got there. Really, the only bluff you expect him to show up with now is sort of Queen 9, King 9 combo. Does check behind.
Wow, I check back to 10. He really wants to protect his lead, that's for sure. So sick.
I mean, Scott Ball heads up with such a chip disadvantage. Was going to have to run good, but Anton Wigg flopping best the majority of the time. Second time he's outflopped the Las Vegas Moneymaker representative.
We need to start doubling up, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Many times.
Scott Ball down to 12 big blinds.
Scott Ball definitely out of his league here with a 6-1 chip disadvantage against the very experienced pedigree of Anton Wigg, but anything can happen in these heads-up matches, and the fact that he's even here heads-up is pretty fortunate for him. A lot of coolers and flips.
Going with the King 8
to get it in this position for the Moneymakers.
Expect him to keep limping most hands. We start doing the same ourselves and establishing that.
Anton just jamming the pocket
And
nines.
start going over the top.
And Scott Ball fighting for his life here would be a fairy tale for the newcomer to the GPL to grind out a victory here.
This is probably, oh no, Anton.
But at the moment, doesn't look likely. Anton Wigg, such a strong poker player, an EPT champion against someone with no real track record in high-stakes poker, making his debut for the Moneymakers, an unexpected wildcard pick, the man leading the Twitch revolution, the man responsible for creating the platform on which so many Twitch streamers have thrived, would be a great, I mean, it already is a great story, a great fairy tale that he's made it this far, getting 5 points for a struggling Las Vegas Moneymakers franchise. But Anton Wigg, nearly 5-1 chip lead.
Not a lot of great turn cards for us. I'm going to go ahead and rip it and hope he calls off with a hand like ace-10. Or just take it down.
Very specific hand to predict.
A hand which I can guarantee Anton Wigg is not betting on the flop.
God, we're such snobs.
And Scott Ball again with a hand he might elect to shove.
We're going to check back here. Queen Jack's pretty strong. See a flop.
You see, I think if I were in Scott's position, you might want to ramp up the variance. Playing small ball, allowing Anton to get to flops is not going to work out favorably.
My favorite story about something like that was that when Taylor Parr won his bracelet.
Mate,
you know the story?
There, yeah. I was there, yeah.
Wasn't that brilliant?
Yeah, yeah.
For all of you not aware, Taylor Parr is unbelievable WPT champion, World Series bracelet winner, and he was heads up against an older gentleman who realized when they went to the dinner break that Taylor was just way better than him, so he started going all in every single hand, blinding out Taylor because Taylor was card dead, and then he won a few showdowns.
Yeah, and so Taylor had to hold with like ace-6 versus like 9-5 off.
Yeah, and it was like
pretty good hand
to even stay in the
Good luck us. Shove.
And Scott Ball is going to shove the ace-jack. Going to be called by the 6s.
Snap called by 6s. Let's get there.
Huge race. Would love.
That's a good flop.
Wow, Scotty Ball.
That's a very good flop.
Way to go, Scotty. Stay in there.
6 required, otherwise Scott
like that flop.
Ball will survive.
Keep it up, dealer.
Improves. Improves on the river to top boat. And now Anton's Wigg's chip advantage.
Anton's Wigg. See, it's rubbing off on you.
Wigg's
And Scott's balls.
Chip advantage 2-1. Anton going to continue trying to play small ball, get into flops against a less experienced opponent.
You gotta love the underdog story, though. I mean, he is the just the look and everything with that beautiful beard. He's got a definitely like a moneymaker look to him. Good for the Las Vegas Moneymakers. Get him, Scotty.
We don't have to limp quite as much now. Great flop for us.
Yeah, great flop for sure.
It's actually such a good flop. We're gonna go ahead and check back. If we turn a spade, if he has this, just we lose. Okay, that's fine. But we definitely want to disguise the fact.
And he has
how strong we are here.
Let Anton improve.
Nice.
Get way more value on later streets now.
Anton Wigg.
In fact, I could even see him betting out here a lot, actually. We'll just go ahead and call. Raise him on the river. That's obviously a great card for us. It actually could be a terrible card too because it could just kill all our action as well.
Yeah, and Scott
nice read there
suddenly
by Scott.
realizing
it's kind of unfortunate.
That his hand
it's nice to have the nuts, but
is going to look like a spade.
We'll try to make our hand look like a bluff at least. Just throw a massive overbet in. Not a massive, but just throw our stack in. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll just have the queen one time. Queen or 10, just call.
It's not a strategy that's going to work. Scott doesn't get to the river with many bluffs here. Mainly going to have top pair or 2 pair that he's going to be able to show down and win with at least some of the time. And Anton with an easy fold. But
go and start defending out a bit wider.
Scott Ball
has a good chip, so we can get a little more
still
comfortable
in this match.
Pretty good flop. Definitely going to be calling on this flop.
Interesting card, which is going to make both players a little more
comfortable.
Does
make it a lot harder for him to have a queen now.
Yeah, as Scott says, another queen coming decreases the amount of value hands Anton's going to have.
It's a pretty big bet. Hand's too strong right now to just fold here, though. If he rips on river, we'll make a decision. Not a great river because clubs get there and we have none. But I think that's a river he's probably going to bluff a lot too. 6-7 got there, clubs got there.
And I think again, Anton Wigg taking his
I
time.
do think this is a river he barrels a lot though.
Most likely he will check behind. Would be incredibly impressive for him to be confident to fire a bet, but he does check behind. I think that's pretty standard and wins a nice pot to put Scott Ball
Bummer.
back on the back foot.
That was not good for us.
Yeah, feels bad, man.
Now we're back to awfully short, but that's okay, I believe.
Anton Wigg, so confident, limping 100% of hands here, just wanting to get to a flop, feeling like the work he's done, his post-flop edge is going to be significant enough to make 5 deuce a playable
I actually
hand.
never played with Anton before that I recall.
You can see
He's a
Scott,
very good player, though.
Scott snap folding a gut shot on an overcard, not even considering doing something with that part of his range.
Well, we've got a king. Good luck, us. I like that result. That's great. Love seeing free flop stands like this. Eventually we'll just mash one. I expect he's going to keep playing small ball like this on his buttons too. It's such a big chip lead. And you should think he has a pretty big edge over me for sure.
Yeah, Scott humble enough to realize that Anton Wigg, one of the world's best online tournament players, is going to have an edge on him.
Never played together once, like I said.
Very brave for Scott to put himself to the test in this kind of arena. Deserves a lot of credit, particularly as, you know, those following closely.
So many just like random paired flops like this.
Anton continuing to connect better than Scott. I think most players in the world are going to need to run above expectation to defeat Anton Wigg. Again, it's Anton that flops best, seemingly every time.
You know, it's actually interesting is this is very kind of like David versus Goliath thing, but Scott Ball kind of looks more like Goliath and Anton like David, you know? It's an interesting contrast.
Got less than 10 bigs. Back to 10 bigs. 10 big blind hype. Blinds go up in 4.5 minutes as well. Definitely need to get a double up in.
And interesting to see where that Anton stabs here, because this, I think, is another feature of the match, and what makes it so hard for Scott to win is when neither of them connects. Perfect example there. Both players missing the board. Anton just picks up the pot
so
every time.
100% C-bet.
Scott,
so profitable for him right now.
Gonna need,
Yeah, great read from Scott. I mean, it's interesting to get inside the mind because obviously he's misapplying some concepts. Obviously, just a lack of experience, but you can tell that he's a pretty sharp guy.
Good luck, us.
Yeah, like this jam.
Yep.
Get a fold. Sweet. Not with the deuce 7. Sorry, guys. The dream.
What a sweetheart. As you can see, Anton finding it difficult to find a reason to fold any button. Limping even the 8 deuce off against the
dominating 8-4.
Yeah.
And again, Anton going to continue with this. And the thing is, I mean, I'm not saying this hand on this board, but Scott needs to like.
I really want to be able to shove over a lot of these limps, but hands like 4-8, you just can't really do it right now.
Scott Ball just not finding the hands he can jam all in with. Anton
definitely ripping the Jack 9 here.
Able to continue with this limp strategy, getting to flops in position time and time again.
We've been shoving, we just need to shove and hope he calls.
Yeah. Don't blame Scott Ball there, even though we could see Anton had the 9-3 off. I think Anton going to call nearly all, probably every ace high there, and plenty of other hands as well.
first Open Jam versus us.
See Scott folding some jack highs as well, and this is going to be.
We got a pair, guys.
A jam from Anton
so
and a call
yeah,
from Scott. Scott ball at risk. Anton getting the better flop. Let's see a spade on the turn for a sweat. Love to see Scott survive. A spade on the river will save Scott ball.
One time. One time. That's not a spade. All right. GG, Anton. Well played, dude.
Great stuff from Scott Ball. Out in second, Anton Wigg of the San Francisco Rush, securing the 7 points.
Hey guys, I'm Griffin Benger. This is Scott. Sorry. This is Sam Grafton.
That's right.
That was Scott Ball against Anton Wigg in the final there. Very unexpected final, obviously. Such an accomplished field. Scott Ball obviously showing a couple of tendencies that, might have flabbergasted us a little bit, but a couple of habits that obviously, that he's adopted that were working really well. Clearly a sharp guy. Great guy to have on the GPL. That big smile. And, of course, I'm telling you about the Beard Club. He looks good. Really interesting, heat today.
Yeah, of course. There is a lot of luck involved in poker. We like to call it variance in the profession. And Scott Ball, going to need to run slightly above expectation to secure big, large amounts of points for the Las Vegas Moneymakers. But had a very good strategy coming in, made a mistake by flattening that king deuce, but then got away from his hand on the turn very impressively. Obviously, a lot of good things and good elements to his game. 5 points, slightly unexpected, but 5 valuable points for the Las Vegas Moneymakers. And Anton Wigg securing 7 for the San Francisco Rush. One of the big stories of today, the franchises that have been doing less well, Sao Paulo Metropolitans, San Francisco Rush, the Moneymakers, and indeed LA Sunset, all securing those top 2 finishes to really tighten up the Americas Conference, show Montreal Nationals and New York Rounders they're not going to get everything their own way.
Yeah, and quite a like you said in the preview, a baptism by fire, throwing Scott Ball in there against the likes of Darren, Elias, Olivier Busquet, and Anton Wigg.
He came out firing. He didn't sit back. He didn't play frightened poker. He realized that the only way he's going to have a chance is to play his game, play to his strengths, and mix it up with these guys. Went for some loose opens. These guys gave him respect and folded. Anton made a very ambitious play with the Jack-10, suited, trying to exploit Scott, the perception of Scott as someone that was timid and going to go away, and cost him a lot of chips and set up Scott to finish second there. And also, Scott Ball will be massively pleased. If you follow him on Twitter, you will have seen his interaction with Jason Lavallee. Bit of needle between those two, and he was the beneficiary. Queens versus King Queen sent Lavallee out the door. So Scott Ball, a very good day at the office.
The joke doesn't really work, though, because, the wish that he wanted was that he would win the heat.
Okay.
So we weren't able to grant the entire wish for you, Scott, but we got you into the GPL. We got you into those matches.
Maybe we could call it GPL, come play with the pros.
Yeah.
Do you think that's
good
good marketing slogan?
Absolutely.
Could be good.
Absolutely. I think the lounge is ready for us. Are we? Are you guys ready for us in the lounge? No, they're not.
You want me to keep talking? Okay. So we could talk about the standings after this match. Yeah. Here we go. Anton Wigg, 7 points for the San Francisco Rush. Much needed. Came into the day really lagging behind. Haven't been able to. Basically, they've done well, but had huge setbacks because Galfond and Tony Gregg both registering 0 points. So Faraz Jack are going to be over the moon that Anton Wigg could secure the win. Scott Ball in second place. As we said, the man leading the Twitch revolution, the man masterminding and providing that platform for so many poker players to make a name for himself. Someone we're really excited to have on the GPL, but someone with vastly less poker experience than his opponents, securing 5 points. Jason Lavallee making his debut, securing 3 points across both matches. Olivier Busquet, the winner of the first match, registering a very respectable 9 points across the thing. Bad day for Tom Marchese, who is a big hitter, a big gun for the New York Rounders, not having the best day at the office. And Darren Elias, another setback for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans. He did secure 5 points in the first match, but couldn't get anything going, made a big 4-bet all-in. That's the high variance sort of strategies that we expect from Elias. Someone that doesn't back down, someone that opens a lot, someone who wants to impose his game on the table, and didn't work out for him in the second match. really unfortunate for the Sao Paulo Metropolitans. So that 5 points really gives them a foundation to come back strongly in the league, and the 0 after it really hurts them.
Yeah, but like Olivier said, during the match, he said, Darren's been running pretty bad over the course of these matches. So there's something also to consider. But again, I mean, we've only seen players play a few matches so far. Like we saw Tony Gregg play in the first heats, putting up 2 donuts. So there's going to be more opportunities to sort of see what these guys are capable of with better card distribution, with different opportunities to bluff, all these different things. So Darren Elias, someone that I'm always really excited to see play.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the level of poker was really good. Once again, Busquet showing his class, heads up. Obviously, Jonathan Little sharing in the first match some of his strategies, talking with great candor about his respect for the other players. So yeah, I mean, wasn't the liveliest on the webcam, but also Scott Ball, someone that's familiar with the Twitch format, he's only going to grow in confidence. So from an entertainment point of view, that's something that's only going to get stronger as the weeks and months go by. The guys were quiet today, but it's a mixed bag, as it were.
Tomorrow, guys, we have a lot of great heads-up matches. The debut of the legend herself, Vanessa Selbst.
Can I talk about Vanessa for a moment?
Absolutely, go for it.
Vanessa Selbst, tune in tomorrow. I mean, this is one of the great poker players of the last 10 years, one of the sharpest poker minds, someone that is outspoken.
In my top 5.
That is in Griffin Benger's top 5 as
well.
On
his birthday,
and
too.
Also playing against Anatoly Filatov, who showed great charisma today at making full use of the webcam. What a treat we've got for you after that. Elke versus Randy Liu. Elke, who has been sort of called out by Randy Liu. He wants to take on all comers. Both of these guys with some heads-up experience on the GPL. Both guys that stream on Twitch. So again, another one that you'd expect really to be exciting from a fan perspective. A lot of interaction. And then Todd Brunson making his debut, the legendary poker player from Las Vegas. Someone that we all are familiar with, I'm sure, from High Stakes Poker, against Jeff Gross, who I'm not as familiar with, but came across wonderfully well, I thought, on the webcam today. Such a charming individual, someone that was so, so frank about his poker skills and like his strategic decisions. So really good lineup of poker. But if you can only make one, Anatoly Filatov versus Vanessa Selbst is a match that really gets me excited.
All right, well, that's we want to see what's going on with the standings because there was a lot of movement.
Are they
today.
finally ready in the lounge? Do you think they're finally? Has Eric put his clothes back on?
They're ready.
They're ready. Okay,
lounge.
Over to you guys finally.
We told you guys we're always ready. They just love hogging the cameras over there, I'm pretty sure. Congratulations then to the San Francisco Rush there, picking up a really, really much needed 7 points, hey?
Yeah, it's still strange that those teams, the teams that needed the points most, are still at the bottom. So that's sort of curious. But yes, the top 2 are still the top 2, but the teams at the bottom really helped themselves at least narrow the gap in the conference.
San Francisco now have left the bottom of the table, though, haven't they? They started at the bottom, and now I believe they are just one up. They've managed to beat them by 1 point, I think. Let's take a look at that table and see.
Yeah, they're in front. What's amazing about San Francisco, they've won 4 matches.
Yeah, there we go. Sao Paulo now right at the bottom, but 1 point between them, that's it.
Yeah, and those teams are just a few points out of 3rd place, so you can see how tight it is. And then, New York and Montreal did not do themselves any favors here tonight. There's a big race going on. There's only a 10-point difference between first and last.
Everyone is very close. That's exciting stuff, though, when there's just 10 points between 1st and 6th place.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that if you have one good day, that can change a lot of things. And tomorrow, or I guess for them, Thursday's heads-up matches will be even more effective.
LA Sunset there in 3rd place now, thanks to Busquet's nice win and 6 points.
Yeah,
It's
Busquet again, right? It doesn't get any better than Busquet. He's just a points collector for that team.
Andre Akari, though, manager of the Sao Paulo Mets, will not be happy to be right at the bottom of the table now.
It's tough for them, and it's funny because Darren Elias played so well in that first match, and then that second match, not much he could do there. This was a tough 6 max for both of these 6 maxes were very tough. A lot of good players there, so it's hard to complain or to criticize Elias at all. But again, we go down to the fact that points were missed, and those will come back and haunt you later down the road. So.
But what about about Scott Paulo picking up second place, 5 points for the Las Vegas Moneymakers. Good going, Scott.
And setting up his heads-up match quite well against Jason Lavallee. Tomorrow they get to play each other tomorrow. They finish second and third in this match.
Thursday.
On Thursday, sorry.
Get it right, Danny.
I thought this was Wednesday. I was really hoping this was Wednesday.
I know all the days kind of.
You're good at that. But I mean, that's a good setup, right? Second and third, and you can see that. And I think this is a good move. Chris Moneymaker was supposed to play, was unable to play. Putting Scott Ball in this situation was probably a really good move to get his feet wet and to get ready for the league. And I really think we're going to see some fun action between. By the way, he's already told us he's got a couple of surprises for the Twitch fans on Thursday.
We like surprises,
yes.
Don't we? And we hope for some surprises tomorrow as well. As the boys were saying over on the commentary desk, going to be a great match, Vanessa Selps versus Anatoly Filatov.
Yeah, with all due respect to the lineups we've seen so far, I think the lineups, the 3 matches tomorrow, probably the best heads-up lineup, action around. The boys talked about Anatoly Filatov and Vanessa Selps, the debut of Vanessa Selps.
They're both chatters, though. That's what worries me. They might just be chatting over each other.
Dorian on the board will be doing a lot of stuff, right? A lot of this stuff. Me personally, of course, and I think all the Twitch people can't wait for Elke and Anonoko. I think that's a highlight match. Elke and Anonoko working so hard to get this match booked. Anonoko, by the way, should change businesses. He should be a booker. And he is booking himself into all of these matches, doing a great job when it comes to self-promotion. Anonoko really on top of his game. And then Todd Brunson and Jeff Gross. Todd Brunson from the old guard, that'll be fun to see. Jeff Gross, a person that's been around the circuit for a few years now as well. Jeff got his feet wet earlier today, so that's really interesting to see as well. The 2 Americans representing Berlin and Rome, both teams needing points, so it'll be interesting to see.
Todd Brunson plays a lot of mixed games, am I right?
Yeah, Todd Brunson, very much a mixed games player, plays some of the biggest high-stakes games in Las Vegas. And if you're going to play those games, you're not going to be playing No Limit Hold'em. So a lot of those games don't involve Hold'em necessarily, but he still does play a few No Limit events tournament-wise. So this could be a good setup for him. And when it comes to his experience, whatever game he's learned to play, I think he can definitely be an advantage for him heads up.
And all of the people on Twitch are asking about Aaron Paul. When are we going to see Aaron Paul? When are we going to see Aaron Paul?
Well,
any news?
Yeah, simple answer is we do not know. I think we can tease the fact that we will see him live in Vegas. We know that. As for his role before then, we don't know at this moment. But Aaron Paul, you should be able to see him in Las Vegas live this summer. That's what we're working at. He's actually changing schedules right now. That's how much he wants to make sure to be part of the Las Vegas experience. He's actually changing schedules, changing a shoot. So pretty impressive that he wants to do that. And sorry to the folks at Miramax or whoever he's filming with. They'll have to wait for Aaron Paul.
Well, as always, you are all getting your tweets into us throughout the show this evening. Look at this. This is Felipe Ramos, who had a great evening last Tuesday night playing his 6 max battles. 1 first place finish, 1 second place finish. This is him in Monaco. Nice job battling the best. Darren Elias, live, GPL, Twitch. We're 2, Finger, Chartier, Mateos, sorry, #EPT. So, just a soft table of players there that he's got in Monaco.
Yeah, he's trying to tell Darren that your table is tough, but mine is also tough with 3 superstars of the game, Martin Finger, Sam Chartier, and of course, Adrian Mateos, who's won everything before he was out of diapers, I believe.
Indeed. And this was from the Poker Wire. So the Poker Wire obviously were conducting a poll. And after 15 matchup polls over 2 weeks, your favorite GPL poker personality is Jason Mercier.
Is it the beard, you think?
I don't know.
Or is it the beard?
I mean, he was quite entertaining when he played heads up versus Phil Gaffon. He had the dog Marshmallow, the girlfriend Natasha Barber.
Around, yeah. I guess. I'm surprised by that result.
Who would you say?
Maybe a Bryn Kenny, how can Jungle Man lose? How is that even possible that he would lose?
How could Jungle Man lose?
But yeah,
but he gets a lot of haters, Jungle Man.
That's true, yeah.
So,
who can hate that pretty face when he just loses every time and drinks a Coke Zero, poor kid.
I know.
I'm a big fan.
I am too.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see more of him soon, but it's only the beginning. We're only at week 4 right now, so maybe we'll conduct some more polls and the poker personalities may change time and time again. We'll have to wait and see. But as we said, tomorrow there's some great heads-up action coming your way from the Eurasian Conference. I'm really excited to watch all 3 matches. In fact, as we said, first up is Vanessa Selbst for the London Royals versus Anatoly Filatov. Then we've got Paris Aviators Elke versus Nanonoko for the Hong Kong Royals. And then finally, it's Jeff Gross versus Todd Bronson. It's going to be a great day of poker, so please do join us back here at the Global Poker League tomorrow, and we will see you then.